Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning.
Hey,
how we doing?
Hey, Skip.
How we doing?
Been drinking all night?
Skip, man, I can only imagine what 2020 is going to be like. Because 2019 is going out with a bang. Oklahoma got the doors beat off them. Your Cowboys missed the playoffs. Poor Tom. And O'Brien James, AP decade man of the decade.
Oh, that was a joke.
Don't do this, Skip. Yeah, that's so unbecoming to you, Skip.
I mean, do you remember that guy, Tom Brady?
What about him?
Quickly we forget.
And they said the voting was a landslide.
By the way, I need some of that over here. Because, wait, we have breaking news. The Cowboys just accepted a bid to the Alamo Bowl. They're going to play in the Alamo Bowl. I need some Hennessy. Let me smoke some.
You want to
Yeah,
sure,
it'll be my first ever.
At this point.
Ernestine gonna lock the door. You can't be able to come in. How you doing, though, Skip? You good? Hold on. Are you gonna be nice today? Are you gonna be?
Okay.
As long as I can get Jason Garrett fired by the end of the show, I will be happy.
All right. Well, you're celebrating. We have so much to get to today. Did Tom Brady and the Patriots blow their chances at returning to the Super Bowl? And does Jerry need to fire Jason Garrett? Because this guy, he's got a lot to say. But first, we're going to look at how the NFC East wrapped up. Tied heading into the fourth quarter, the Eagles were able to pull out the win over the Giants and clinch the division yesterday. The Philly win made the Cowboys' 47-16 blowout victory over the Redskins mean nothing, as Dallas will be watching the playoffs from home after a hot start to the season that ended with them dropping 4 of their last 6 games, and we have been living it around here with that one. Shannon, what is your biggest takeaway from how the NFC East played out?
Played out how I thought it would, Skip.
Oh, really? You predicted this?
Yes.
Oh, 9-7 to 8-8.
Well, yeah. You remember at the beginning of the season, I said that best case scenario, Skip Bayless, you'll be 9-7. I said, but I'm thinking 8-8, but you're not making the playoffs. We put 5 cases on it.
I lost. You got it.
Skip, look. Even when my team lost to Miami, and you say, give it up, it's over. I said, Skip, you guys will do Cowboys things. You're not making the playoffs because you're the Cowboys, and I told you that. The reason why the Eagles were able to do and overcome this, because the structure, top to bottom, let's start with ownership. Jeffrey Lurie does a better job of running the Eagles than Jerry Jones doing the Cowboys. Now, it's a bigger brand. Hell, I could run the Cowboys and make $275 million. Jerry runs it, makes $350. That's neither here nor there. The coach, I believe Dougie P is a better coach than Garrett. Now, don't do that, Skip. You say Dougie prediction. You called it, what'd you say? The book he wrote, he called it fearless. What'd you say? Fearful? Yeah,
fearful.
Okay.
Yeah.
And last but not least.
Tell me when it's my turn.
It's not your turn, yes, Skip. Last but not least, Skip, the reason why talent evaluators in the beginning, in the middle, and at the very end has said, walk it to him, Wentz. Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott was on full display yesterday. And for the people at home, this is what I want you to understand. Wentz finished the game with 3 starters on the offensive side of the football that started week 1 with him. Now, let me tell you what happened. Now, he was throwing to a guy named Robert Davis. He was a 6th-round draft pick in 2016. Deontay Burnett, Greg Ward, started at wide receiver, their undrafted free agent. And the guy that brought him home was the one Boston Scott, undrafted free agent. Now, Skip, last week, you talking about Tony Pollard. He was on the bench cold. Well, how about Miles Sanders go down? Boston Scott, you're up. Now, I need you to take all the pass game, the run game, and I need you to...
Did you just play 2 plays yesterday?
Whoa, Skip. Whoa. It's not your turn. I didn't ask you. You interrupted me. Let me have my moment.
Okay.
The Eagles had a sense of urgency. From the very time they lost that game, we can't lose anymore. They lost against Miami, so they had 4 games to play. We can't lose anymore. And what crystallized to me is what I've been saying since 2016. One team got exemplary quarterback play throughout the last month of the season.
That's one of the funniest things you've ever said on this show.
You see, but guess what? I say that, and you might say, oh, it's funny, but guess where I'm going on Saturday? Guess where I'm going to be?
Where?
And guess where you going to be? Watching my team. Eagles. We flying, Skip Bayless. And I told you this. It's simple as this, Skip.
When did the Eagles become your team?
I don't know. There were moments where I don't know if I was feeling that.
You know good. See, you always try to shift it when they become your team. You know, walk into them, be my guy. Now all of a sudden you want to shift the blame. But just simple as this. When you can finish the season without your top 3 receivers, your top tight end, your right tackle goes down 2 weeks ago and he's not playing. Brooks, your all-pro guard, he goes down. Back up, you come in and do this thing. Perkins the tight end caught an undrafted free agent. Name the time that Dak Prescott has ever been able to overcome something like this, because all I did was hear you crying snot in 2017. He doesn't have a number 1. Zeke is suspended. No Sean Lee, no Tyron Smith. That man won 4 games.
Was he playing the Giants in those?
Whoa.
Did he get to play the Giants twice in the last 4 games?
Hold up.
No.
Did you guys play the Giants?
No.
Yeah. Did you play Washington? Yeah. Did you play Buffalo? Yeah. Did you play the Packers? Yeah. So my guy is better than yours. And the reason why they won is because the quarterback play is better than the quarterback play that you got over the last month.
Is that it?
Yep.
Thank you. Now it's my turn.
Skip.
Take your time.
Yesterday was as I warned you, it would be a foregone conclusion. As I predicted, the Eagles backed into winning the NFC East because the Eagles had the easiest closing schedule in the National Football League, and God bless them, they took advantage of it. I told you what was going to happen at Giants, but you said, no, don't be surprised if the Giants upset the Eagles. Baloney! The Giants are pathetic. They are 30th in the NFL in points allowed. That was a foregone conclusion. The Eagles yesterday could have beaten the Giants with their second team, which is pretty much what they did, right? Danny Dimes is Danny Pennies when the money is on the line. Check it out. Saquon Barkley, you call him the best running back in football.
You saw that.
I see the most overrated running back in football, and I'm standing by it, and I've said it from the start. He's nothing but a luxury back. He'll give you one big run a game, and yesterday it was 68 yards to the house. What happened on the other 16 carries? How about 24 total yards? That's 1.9 yards per carry on all the other 16 carries from Saquon Barkley, who is not an every down between the tackles, establish the running game kind of running back. Completely overrated. But you got carried away by what Danny Dimes and Saquon Barkley did to the Redskins. They're even worse than the Giants. They're 3-13, they finished. They now have a new head coach as we speak, Ron Rivera. And they were 27th in the league in points allowed. They're pathetic. And I look at Carson Wentz. He brought them home with exemplary quarterback play.
Yeah, he did.
Baloney, he did. Look what it took. That Monday night game when their roll started, the last 4 games, it's Monday night at home. You're in Philadelphia. And what happened? It took all the way to overtime after Carson Wentz stunk it up for 3.5 quarters. It took all the way to overtime against these pathetic 4-12 Giants to pull the game out. And you're proud of that?
Yeah, I am.
Are you kidding me? His
Very
QBR
proud.
in that game was a 53, which is 3 points above average. And then they went to Washington. What happened? Carson Wentz right on schedule. Fumbled. He's like a slot machine. You just pull down the hammer and boom, the ball pops out. And the Washington Redskins recovered and boom, they had 27-24 with a field goal. And here came Carson Wentz late, but it took him all the way until 26 seconds were left to beat the Redskins. I mean, the Cowboys just beat the stuffing out of the Redskins and the Giants. The Cowboys beat the Giants 35-17 and 37-18. I told you yesterday the score would be 35-14, and it wound up 34-17. Sue me, I was a little bit off. But it's just predictable what's going to happen between the Eagles and the Giants, because the Giants and the Redskins were not only bad, but they were home for the holidays, both of them, except for that game against your Eagles. So look at what Carson Wentz did over his last 4 games. He got to take advantage of Dak Prescott when he could not even practice the week before the game, and took a cortisone shot in his shoulder, and then had to take a pain-killing shot before the game and a pain-killing shot at halftime and clearly was not himself in that game. And Carson Wentz managed to survive 17-9. Way to go. Beautiful. So his QBRs down the stretch were 53, 74, 61, 55. That's an average of 61. Again, this is scale 0 to 100. So his average for the whole year was 63. So he was actually below average against the weakest closing schedule in the NFL. And you're over there gloating? Have another drink on me.
Hold on, Skip.
Toast Carson Wentz.
Skip.
Way to go.
Okay, Skip.
Special.
Okay, here's the thing.
Special.
You said his QBR was 53. What was this? All those low numbers.
Yeah.
What was his win total?
Giants, you got to beat a 4-12 team twice, a 3-13 team once, and an 8-8 team once. That's your closing schedule. Congratulations, Eagles. Way to go.
It was you.
I should stand up. Give me a standing ovation.
It was you and Jerry.
I'm impressed, you know.
It was you and Jerry that was leading the parade when you played those very Giants, the very Washington team in the beginning, and you said it. Now when the Eagles turned to play them, now they're terrible. But you didn't say that when the Cowboys beat them.
I'm just talking about you gloating about how Carson Wentz finished the season. Really?
Yeah.
You barely pulled out a game against the Giants. You barely pulled out a game against the Redskins. You barely held off the Cowboys. Okay. And then you did what you should have done. You took care of business yesterday. But even then, I kept saying, get this over with, because I'm tired of being frustrated with the whole season. And I had to sit and watch your team struggle with the Giants for a whole half because, remember, Boston Scott was in the game early for Miles Sanders. And do you remember that?
Before the half?
Yeah. How about that 3rd and 4 play? It was not before the half. It was actually 7:33 left in the second quarter. Can we see this play? This is how beautiful Carson Wentz was yesterday. Here's Carson Wentz. Look at Boston Scott. Is he not wide open? It's just he's just gone. And Carson Wentz overthrows him by 10 yards, and I'm saying, just get it over with. Put me out of my misery. Put Jason Garrett out of his misery. I'm sick and tired of this. Just get it over with. They're terrible.
We just saw Dak Prescott overthrow Tavon Austin by the same margin.
That was a whole different situation. This is just get the season over with. That's your quarterback that you're over there going, it's about Carson. Baloney, it's about Carson Wentz.
Baby. Eagles, send me a playoff shirt.
With your second string, you beat the Giants because they are pathetic. Which brings me back to my Dallas Cowboys. I'm putting zero stock in what I saw yesterday from my Dallas Cowboys against the pathetic Washington Redskins. And all I can tell you is that 47-16 horrified me, because I do think there's a chance that Jerry Jones, sitting up in his owner's box, drank it all in, all those highlight plays that we didn't get to see a week ago when the division title was on the line in Philadelphia. And I fear Jerry Jones went home last night and thought, you know what? I love the way my team finished. They finished strong for Jason Garrett. They did not quit on Jason Garrett. My biggest fear in my sporting life right now is that Jerry Jones went home and put his head on the pillow and said, you know what? I think Jason deserves another crack at it. I'm going to go forward with Jason Garrett next year because we scored 47 points today, and it was a tour de force.
Was Dak hurt?
Way to go.
Was Dak hurt yesterday?
I don't know. I think he's going to need some off-season shoulder.
And yeah, that shoulder, you notice he healed up quick against a poor team,
Did you notice he didn't practice one play last week?
Whoa, so he didn't practice against the Eagles either. So what's the difference, Skip?
Yeah, boy, I don't know.
He got to cortisone.
You know what the difference was? No pressure.
Exactly.
Redskins home for the holidays. They quit fairly early. Although I got to tell you, I'm going to remind everybody, that was a 20-13 game midway through the third quarter, and finally the Redskins just quit. They just quit on Bill Callahan.
Look what you just did. Yeah. Now, you talk about that was a 2013. It was a 17-17 game late in the third quarter with the Giants-Eagles, and you say the Giants gave up. Really?
Stop. That was a mismatch.
Skip, you know the game turned when the low snap and he tried to pick it up and Jink came in and stripped the ball and Fletcher scooped it up at the 1 yard line.
Danny Pennies, can't count on him. He's not that guy.
The game swung completely on that play because they had taken a 17-10 lead and then they hand the ball off to Saquon and the man hits a crease and pieces him out. With 50 yards to go, he hits him with the peace sign.
Should have happened so much earlier.
Oh, wait, hold on. Why did you want him to get you out your misery? So why did you want Saquon to do that earlier? You see what I said, Jenny? You see what he tried to do? He wanted his this to you. You thought the Eagles were going to lose and the Cowboys get in.
I picked the Giants.
But you
said it was
Eagles.
done.
But you also picked the Washington.
Yeah.
You picked Washington, too.
Yeah, because I needed my team to lose, so there would leave no doubt in Jerry's mind, it's over for Jason Garrett. He has been my nightmare since 2011. I've tried to get him fired. It's years now. It's 7 years of misery with Jason Garrett. I'm sick and tired of this. For me, remember, I became a Cowboy fan in 1961 when my uncle in Dallas, Texas took me to my first game.
So you've been delusional a long time.
No, I've had a whole lot of success. I've had a whole bunch of Super Bowl that wasn't delusional. It was very real, thanks to Roger Staubach and thanks to the 90s
Y'all caught 2 L's in the 70s, too.
Yeah, well, we were
Did
really
nothing in the
good.
80s.
We were really
Came
good.
on strong in the 90s and then bloop, bloop.
Yeah, how many Super Bowl trophies does Denver have?
Whoa.
We beat Denver.
We're not talking about
tell
Denver.
Me you're a Bronco.
We're not talking about Denver.
Yes, we are.
We're not talking about Denver. We're talking about the Cowboys.
Well, you're just taking shots at the Cowboys. And
not the Cowboys. They're delusional fan base.
I attended a Super Bowl. I covered a Super Bowl in which I don't know how they did it, but my Cowboys laid it all over your orange crust.
What the Broncos had 8 turnovers. You want to tell that story?
Well, that's fine.
Okay.
But that's what the deal is. So the point was I needed my team to get blown out yesterday because it needs to be over. Sure. And again, because I've been a fan for so long, trust me, in all those years, I have never had a more frustrating, tormenting, haunting, finally torturous ride of a season that was so hard to stomach more than this season. This is the worst ever by far, and I just needed it to be over, so I needed them to lose to the Redskins. I wanted the Redskins to rise up and try to save Bill Callahan as the interim coach, and maybe Dan Snyder would have overreacted and said, oh, maybe it's Bill Snyder, but it sounds like he already had a deal in place for Ron Rivera because they've already announced.
Dan Snyder, you mean?
I mean, Dan Snyder,
yeah.
So that's the point.
But Skip, I told you, your Cowboys are front runners. Yeah. And what did we see? The same thing we saw against the Eagles. They get out to a lead, Jenny, they start striking up the band and everybody dancing, Zeke eating, Dak running around, he's slapping 5 with everybody, and they go out to this big lead. But when the game is close, if you could keep that game close in the third quarter, they'll fold.
Really?
Like a banquet chair at the end of the night.
Really? Are we talking about the same quarterback, Dak Prescott, who over his first 3 years in the National... Wait! It is my turn. Okay. Who in his first 3 years with the Dallas Cowboys led the National Football League in fourth quarter comebacks? That guy? Is that the guy who will fold like a, what'd you call it?
Like a banquet chair at the end of the night. Okay. I'm talking about the guy this year. In 2019, Jenny, that was 1-6 against winning teams. I'm talking about that guy. So you tell me, Skip, you always say, why you got to live in the past? I'm not talking about 2016, 2017, 2018. I'm talking about 2019. What did he do this year?
Well, he put up great numbers. We'll talk about this in a moment. But to your point, my team was favored to win 15 of 16 games. And I am so sick and tired of hearing commentators on every network I flip around to watch. They all say, oh, this is the most talented team in football. Pro Football Focus through the whole year said best team in football was the Dallas Cowboys. 8-8. And by the way, you didn't know this little known fact. That's Jason Garrett's middle name is 8-8.
8-8?
Jason 8-8 Garrett. That's what he was born and they named him 8-8.
He was
not a good one.
8-8, 8-8, 8-8, 8-8.
He gonna be back in 2020.
Yeah, and he has the most 8-8s of any coach in history except for Jeff Fisher, who coached for 20 years, and Jason Garrett's only coached for 9 years.
So he got a chance. So you say there's a chance he can catch fish.
Well, he's got to have a job to catch fish.
He's going to have a job. He got one with the Cowboys.
Oh, so he's going to stay there? Yep. We'll talk about that in just a moment.
No plans yet.
So in the end, it was just the Eagles' year. And it was the Eagles' year late last night in the Seattle game. We're going to talk about this later.
We will.
But a blown non-call on a pass interference actually gave the Eagles new life because they were about to have to deal with the 49ers. Yep. Now they get to deal with Seattle, which is not as good as the 49ers, but Seattle had that game won at home until the NFL, once again, the referees
don't do that,
they blew another one that completely changed the landscape in the NFC playoff structure.
It did, and we're going to talk about that, the call and some of the things that Seattle did. But Skip, let this sink in. Carson Wentz is the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for 4,000 yards and not one receiver has 500 or more yards receiving. Well, let that sink in.
He's got a lot of receivers.
He's
had a lot all year.
Skip Bayless, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah.
Now, he doesn't have an Amari Cooper. He don't have a Michael Gallup. He don't have a Randall Tex Cobb.
I'm out. We didn't have an Amari Cooper in 8 road games.
Oh, my goodness.
We just didn't. I couldn't even find him.
Now, last year, the very guy that says, Amari Cooper changed my quarterback's life.
I told you that.
Okay, so now you don't want him.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure they want him anymore.
Okay, well, let him go.
Yeah.
Let him go.
Well, they might have to. They just might have to.
Go on and get your money.
You want way too much money.
Skip, at some point in time, and I told you this, if you remove... Job, you know the story. If you remove the hedge, he will curse his very maker.
Yep.
Now, all that around him, he got Amari, he got Michael Gallup, he got Cobb, 3 offensive linemen is going to the Pro Bowl. Zeke Elliott going to the Pro Bowl, 4th in the league in rushing. That guy on the left, walking to him Wentz, is down. His top 2 backs, gone. Back up, guess what? Undrafted free agent, Boston Scott. Okay, my wide receivers that I was counting on, D-Jack, Alshon, Aguilar. Skip, I'm doing this with undrafted free agents, guys that were on the practice squad.
Hey, Greg Ward Jr. is really good. He's better than Aguilar.
Okay. But
I got to tell you, Boston Scott gives them some electrical pop that even Miles Sanders couldn't give them. He's pretty good.
Stop it.
No, I'm starting it.
So
you know it.
Are you saying Greg? So you telling me right now you want to sit on national television and tell me that Greg Ward is better than the 3 receivers that the Dallas Cowboys trots out there on a normal day on Sunday?
I think he has good rapport with Carson.
No, I ain't no good rapport. I say he better.
Yeah, he's probably a little better than Randall Cobb.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself, Skip.
Yeah,
you really should be.
Michael Gallup, I saw the one big play made yesterday that kind of broke the game open.
Skip, the man got
and I didn't get to see that play in Philadelphia. How about the last play to Michael Gallup in Philadelphia?
So what about
Why didn't he make that play then?
So what about the 1,100 yards that he has?
I told you.
I mean, no Eagles receiver has 500.
You
guys got
Zach Ertz all year. Stop it. Until yesterday.
Until yesterday. Okay. How long
so what are you talking about? Is there any better? I know Kittle might be a little bit better, but I don't know. As a pass receiver, I don't know. This guy is really good.
Skip, I'm not saying that he's not good.
Did Dallas have a Dallas Goedert? Nope. Sorry.
Really, Skip?
Really? Well, what do you mean, really?
What about the offensive line?
Dallas Goedert better than Jason Witten? Come on, stop it.
Listen, that's you and Jerry's fault that y'all trot Jason Witten out there and you take plays from Blake Jarwin. But you and I both know, Skip, that the Dallas receiving corps is better than the Eagles. And on Sunday, they trotted out their practice squad.
You mean for the whole year?
Yes.
Stop it. Really?
Skip,
I'm sorry, I don't see it at all. They're loaded. When they had Alshon and Aguilar.
Skip, Alshon's been gone for half the season.
Okay. Well, you said for the whole year.
Skip. Stop this now. This is maddening. That you would actually say that the Cowboys receivers are worse than the Eagles.
The last 4 games, Carson Wentz got to play New York twice and Washington once and Dallas once.
Hold on. All you have to do.
And listen, their front 7 is so much better than Dallas's. It's a joke. They just took the game over yesterday, as they should have.
Just put them in the wide 9. Go. Oh, DeMarcus Lawrence. You saw what Jim Schwartz did? He put him in the wide 9 and said, go get the quarterback. Brandon Graham, Curry, Jernigan, Clocks, go get the quarterback. And them boys started eating. They started eating.
I got it. So you don't think Carson Wentz benefited from that?
Hold on. I tell you what else we benefited from. Beating Chicago. Guess what else we benefited from? Yes, what we did. Beating Buffalo and not losing to the Jets. That's what we didn't do.
Carson Wentz had a pretty good defense to back him.
Oh, now we got a good defense. Oh, my goodness. Well,
did you see my defense? Yeah.
I see your defense gave up 12 points to New Orleans. I see your defense gave up 13 points to the New England Patriots on the road. What your quarterback get? I saw your defense give up 17 to walk into him in his home. What'd your offense get? I need to know, Skip.
Speaking of my quarterback, Jerry Jones had the audacity to say last night that his heart was broken. That Dak Prescott came within only 1 yard. He was 1 yard short of setting the franchise season passing record.
They did that on purpose.
In 1 yard, and I'm thinking, just stop it. This is exactly what's wrong with Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. Who cares about some franchise passing record
they did that
when you went 8-8?
Yeah.
I don't want to hear a word about it because it just doesn't matter.
It does matter.
If Dak Prescott were retiring and he was one touchdown pass short of the all-time record, I'd say, your heart is broken over that one.
Jenny, they knew. They know when you need a yard. They know when you need a catch. They know everything. They did that intentionally. Because they could have easily gone out there and thrown somebody a stop route and let him get the 2 yards to break the record. They did that on purpose.
It's interesting. Dak said he didn't care. He said, I don't care.
Whatever.
I'm going to go home. I'm watching the playoffs from my couch.
Yeah, ain't going home.
So congratulations, Eagles. You get to play the Seahawks, who we beat last year in a first-round playoff game at home, so it's pretty easy. I'm expecting the Eagles to beat them.
That's 2020.
Yeah.
We don't talk about 2019. We're on the 2020.
Tough 10 years for the Cowboys and those fans. They've missed the playoffs.
Take me to another.
No mercy. Let's talk about Dak Prescott. The Cowboys quarterback had the best statistical season of his career. Dak had a career-high 30 touchdowns and ended up just 1 yard shy of the Cowboys' single-season record for passing yards. We just mentioned that. But however, it was the worst season for Dak when it comes to wins and losses. It was the first time he didn't have a record above 500. So, Shannon, what letter grade would you give Dak for the season?
Skip, you know, I've been really hard on Dak, and I don't think I've been hard on him. I think I've graded him accordingly. But after going back through all my notes over the course of the season, and Steve,
we got some revision going on.
No, I'm just saying, going over my notes. Steve Owens, who was my chief research operation officer, and he and I went back over his notes, and we came to the conclusion the grade that we need to give Dak Prescott is a D.
A D?
A D.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
A D.
Well, that's pretty consistent because you gave him mostly Fs.
I gave him a D, Skip, because Dak is one of these guys, and for the people at home that went to school, he had college. He had perfect attendance. When he called upon, he answered all the questions correctly. He just had a problem with the test, Jenny. He failed a lot of the test. And so with that being said, Skip, unfortunately, he's going to have to repeat. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to advance him on to the next grade, Jenny. I am so sorry that this happened.
Well, that translates to franchise tag, right?
Whoa.
It may.
Yeah.
This is what I want people at home to understand. Versus playoff teams that are in the playoffs, Dak Prescott has a record of 1-6, 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. In other words, in the other games, he's 7-2 with 22 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Again, Gil Brandt was on Twitter, Skip, and he was asking like, the Cowboys have all these yards and they have the point differential. And I said, I can easily explain it. You look at, they played the Giants. You look at that. In 6 of their wins, Skip, they had 8 wins. In 6 of those wins, they are plus 130. They are plus 130. Bad teams. Skip Bayless. So I'm just, I was trying to say, I said, Steve, I really want to give him a C. Steve said, but he lost to Trubisky. I said, okay. I said, but look at what he did to the Rams.
Why would you want to give him a C?
Wow, let me talk. It's my turn. I'm talking, it's my turn.
You gave him Fs.
I said, Steve, I really want to give him a C. He said, Shannon, he lost to Trubisky. I said, but Steve, what about what he did to Wentz when they first played him? He says, okay. He lost to Sam Darnold after having mono for 4 weeks. I said, that's all he can get us a D. The best, this is what I gave, here it is right here, Jim. This is it in a nutshell. The last 6 weeks of the season, the Dallas Cowboys played 3 teams that are currently in the playoffs. They got 15 points against Buffalo. They got 9 points against New England, 9 points against the Eagles. I just need to know who's playing quarterback. If somebody else is playing quarterback, I'm probably going to give him an A because I can understand. I know Dak Prescott wasn't quarterback then, was he, Skip? He get a D because he was there for every game. That's the only reason. Because if he had missed one start, if he had one absence, one unexcused absence, he's failing. But he shouldn't be proud with that D.
So you were advising Jerry Jones to no way commit to Dak Prescott long term.
Skip, that was not the question. No, that was not.
Well, I'm making it the question now back to you. So if you're sitting in Jerry's chair and you gave him a D for his performance this year, there is no way you're going to give him $40 million a year for the next 5 years. No way.
Skip.
Because you're not sold on him.
Yeah.
I put it to you like this. You know that house up in Malibu that Aaron Rodgers and Danica Patrick bought? I'm sure there are other houses out there, but they wanted that one. $28 million in cash. That's what they plunked down. If you want to,
I looked at it and it didn't look like it was worth it.
No.
Seriously.
Skip, something
is pretty average.
It's
to me.
just the
location.
The location.
Skip, worth is only what someone is willing to pay for something. This cup, I think they got 12 of them. I saw a case on back there. Undisputed probably played what?
Cool.
$4 for a 12.
Yeah.
A 12 pack.
But if you put this one on eBay, whoa.
If I put that one, if I put some of this in there and say that comes along with it, I can sell it for about $350.
Yeah.
See, worth is what someone's willing to pay. And the Cowboys are going to be willing to pay that, because here's the thing, Skip. He can say, Jared Goff won 2 divisions. I've won 2. Walker 2 and Winston won 2 divisions. I've won 2. You see what they got? That's what I would. That's your starting, Jerry. That's your starting point, Skip. So I'm sorry, I gave him a D. Anything less or anything more would have been uncivilized.
So if you're Jerry Jones, what do you do in contract negotiations?
But I'm Shannon Sharpe.
Okay. Oh, so you're ducking the question.
I'm Shannon Sharpe.
Oh.
When you answer the question. When you answer your
I'm
question.
going to answer both those questions
I would like to
pretty
know
soon.
what you're
And by the way, just for the record, I don't need anybody the night before the show to tell me what to think on the show. That's number one. Number two, I don't need to read my Twitter responses to let people infiltrate my mind to tell me what to say on the show.
Nobody feels. No, I was just saying.
I wasn't saying this about you. I was just saying about me.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I could have sworn last week somebody said something about 5,000 mentions on Twitter.
Oh.
5,000?
5 million.
How about 9 million?
So why you care about that? Twitter?
Up to 9, you're right.
Hold on, Jenny, hold on.
Not responses.
Mentions.
No, those are impressions.
Yeah, I'm saying, why you care about that?
Well, you just do your analytics.
But I'm saying, why do you care? It's Twitter, remember?
Well, it just like shattered every record.
But I'm just asking, though.
Yeah.
But see, my Twitter doesn't matter, but yours Twitter. But go ahead, Skip. I see your point.
It's my turn. For the season, I'm going to give Dak Prescott a B, because he put up top 5 stats all season long, all the way through yesterday. He finished 5th overall in QBR, and it should be 4th because Matt Stafford played only 8 games this year, and he still ranks 4th in the QBR rankings, and I don't think that should qualify, but that's just me.
Okay.
So I'm going to call Dak 4th in QBR. And yet, with top 5 stats, he was the quarterback of a team that finished 8-8. Why was that? Why did they lead the league in yards, but they were only 6th in scoring? Well, one reason was the quarterback didn't make enough key plays, game-changing, game-turning plays that he made all year last year down the stretch as they went 8-2 and won a playoff game against Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. So I'm going to dock him 1 letter grade from an A down to a B just because he didn't make enough plays when they counted. And I've told you what those plays were. There was one at New Orleans. It was the Randall Cobb play. And it came fairly early in the game. It was in the first quarter. But here he is. And he's got him open on the back line, and it's just off his fingertips. It wasn't like the worst throw in the history of throws, but it's a crossbody running the wrong direction. It's like 6 inches back this way, and he catches a touchdown pass. And maybe we're having a different conversation because that's a key win right there.
My homeboy put that in his back pocket.
Well, yeah. Your homeboy threw for 174 yards in their win yesterday. You impressed with that? Because I wasn't. I didn't think he played very well. Then our next play was to Jason Witten. We've seen this before, but Marcus May is all over Jason Witten's back, and it's an obvious pass interference at the goal line, but they're not going to call it up at the Jets in New York. And yet it could have been a little better throw, and maybe he would have hung on to it. But Marcus May just took Jason Witten right out of the play, and it's a foul. It's just obvious pass interference. And then to the play in question that you bring up right and left and up and down on this show, and I will buy into it, is the Tavon Austin play. Dak actually made very good throws in this last-ditch drive, including the very last one to Gallup, but that's one. It's just like the Boston Scott play that I just showed in the Giants game, that walk it to him was throw it over him Wentz, which he often does.
Hold on, Skip.
He's often wild high.
What was the weather like yesterday in MetLife?
It was rainy.
Oh!
Yes,
didn't look fun.
That's twice. Yeah. Because remember the Monday night game they played the Giants, it was raining also.
It looked drizzly. It didn't look like driving.
Don't do that, Skip.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, I watched the game.
So what's it like in Jerry World?
Okay, so Dak missed that last throw, and I will give you that. And here's the key stat for this team. In goal-to-go situations, it scored only 16 touchdowns, which was tied for 23rd. So there's some plays left at the goal line that you could put some on Zeke, some on Dak, some on Kellen Moore, some on Jason Garrett for the play calling. But the point is, if you look at the overall stats, they're pretty sensational because Dak was second in yards passing in the NFL. That's pretty great. He was fourth in touchdown passes, 30. That's pretty great. He was third in air distance. So for years you told me it's Dink and Dak, and so you can't do that anymore.
He's not dinking Dak. He's donking Dak.
And he was tied for second in catchable passes, 421 catchable passes. That's pretty great. So what did he have to put up with? What else hampered Dak Prescott? Why do I have to drop him to a B? Well, guess what? The Dallas Cowboys were last in punting in the whole NFL. Somebody should pay for that. I don't know, maybe the special teams coach. They were last in kickoff returns in the whole NFL. Nobody was worse on punting or kick returns, which means they were second worst in the NFL in starting field position. So what happened to an offense that, by the way, was tied for second in third down conversions? You just have to go too far. So Dak's starting from his 6-yard line or his 4-yard line or from his 8-yard line. And it's like bing, 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 big third down conversions. And all of a sudden you finally get down to the 30-yard line and inevitably somebody drops a pass because the Cowboys for the whole year
misses a throw.
Second in drop passes was this team. So again, I'm being very objective with that B because Dak was up against a lot. He had to overcome a lot.
They did.
Because his starting field position was second worst in the league.
So in other words, that explains the yards total. So they're moving the ball in between the 20s with nothing to show for it.
There's only so much you can do with it. You know, he's not. He is human. I'll buy into that. I'll give you that. He's human.
So he ain't like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
You know what? He ain't Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers finished, 23rd in QBR? Let me get that exactly straight. I think it was 23rd. Yep, 23rd in QBR. Really?
Hold on.
Aaron Rodgers yesterday had a QBR of 48 at Detroit, and they barely won.
And when you needed it.
It's ugly, but they win.
And when your rubber needs to meet the road, your guy had he finished? You say, okay, 5th. You say 4th. I'll let you have 4th.
Yeah.
He had a great QBR, but where's he going to take that QBR today? Guess what he got, Skip? He got 2 hefty bags, and he's cleaning out his locker. My guy's getting ready for a game in 2 weeks.
I'm glad you brought up the Packers because they were the flip side of the Cowboys, or the Cowboys' flip side of the Packers, because the Packers kept winning games that made you say, how'd they do that? And the Cowboys kept losing games that made you say, how did they lose that?
No, they don't. Because when I look at Green Bay, I said, I know how they did that. One guy, number 12. That's how they did it. How did the Cowboys lose that?
So,
number 4.
Dak Prescott had to overcome a defense that was 17th in takeaways. 25th in takeaways with only 17. They had 7 total interceptions, which was last in the league.
Okay, you got no playmakers.
They were 19th in sacks, and they were 11th in points allowed. Well, it's hard to overcome that when you're the quarterback on the other side.
Whoa! You making excuses for Dak Prescott. You never gave Aaron Rodgers when his defense was finishing 20th in points allowed.
Aaron Rodgers is in decline, and my quarterback's on the rise. So
I couldn't tell. Did you see yesterday?
So here's my favorite stat of the year.
Which one?
Second in the NFL on first down carries was my man Ezekiel Elliott, whose jersey remains in my trash today. Remains in my trash. Only one other back in the whole NFL had more first down carries. Guess where his yards per first down carry ranked in the league this year? How about 19th? That stat alone tells you what Dak Prescott was up against, because again and again and again and again and again, I'm falling on the floor because it's 2nd and 11. It's 2nd and 10. It's 2nd and 9.
That's play calling,
It's
Skip.
2nd and 11.
Skip.
It's 2nd and 10.
Skip, just because
it's running in Cabo Sand. It's not the same guy.
But here's the thing, Skip. Just because you say you want to have a commitment to running the football doesn't mean you have to run the ball on first down every time. And that seems to be Kellen Moore doesn't have it. The only thing, okay, run it. You can't call a pass play on
Shannon
first down.
Predictable.
Pound the rock. Establish the run.
Skip,
They kept trying.
Just because you established the run, hold on. The Ravens throw the ball on first down some. The Titans throw the ball. They run. Derrick Henry led the league in rushing. The Ravens just set the NFL record for most rush yards in a season. They do throw the ball on first down sometime. You are allowed to do that. That's the Cowboys dum-dums that want to bang their head against the wall and just run it into the line every single time on first down.
So you gave a running back $50 million guaranteed dollars and made him by far the highest paid running back in NFL history, and he ranked 5th in yards per game, yards rushing per game. It's just not good enough. I'm sorry. And that's all what he has to overcome at quarterback.
What do you got to overcome?
So for me to give him a B, I should give him a B+.
First of all, what about what Zeke has to overcome? Because we're falling behind, so it's taking me out of the run game. And my quarterback can't keep us in it. My quarterback can't keep us there, Jenny, because he got outplayed by who, Skip? Trubisky. He got outplayed by Sam Darnold.
By the way, I'm glad you brought up the Chicago game, because that was the first turning point of the season when Ezekiel Elliott, as they were on a roll, waved out of the game, just as he did a second time at Philadelphia when they are on a roll to take the lead. In both games, they're on a roll down at the 20-odd yard line, and he waves out of the game.
Tony Pollard, come do your job.
That's all you got.
Tony Pollard, you the backup, come do your job.
My quarterback had to overcome all of the above and put up those numbers, and actually had a marvelous year. But I think Jerry Jones will use this against him in negotiating, because Jerry is a tough, old you-know-what when it comes to negotiating.
And Dak says, I'm a tough, young you-know-what.
Well, yeah, it doesn't help that he's going to be watching
I'm pretty sure they're headed for a franchise.
Hey, Dak Prescott, Skip, at the end of the day.
There are layers, too.
Dak says, I'm not giving you no hometown discount.
Yeah.
Now, Jerry and Steven have been trying to poison the water for the longest.
Yep.
But Dak ain't biting.
No mercy.
The Miami Dolphins went into Foxborough and took down Tom Brady and the Patriots on a go-ahead touchdown with 24 seconds left on the clock. The loss bumped the Patriots to the 3 seed, and they missed an opportunity to have a bye in the first round. Brady finished with 221 yards and a pair of touchdowns, but also threw a pick 6 that put New England in an early 10-point hole. So, Shannon, is Brady or Belichick more to blame for yesterday's collapse?
Tom Brady. Tom Patrick Eric Brady the fourth.
Full name.
The second. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady the second.
I think you got it.
Ain't that him, Skip? That's who all four of them responsible, Jenny. Yeah. Hold on, wait a second. I know the Patriots defense have given up 17 points or more and lost all those games. Did you know coming into the game, Jenny, the Dolphins entered the game with the 31st ranked defense. Oh, they went dead last. I'm 31st. They ranked dead last in points allowed.
That's how they came.
31 points a game. And Tom Brady got 24. At home.
Yeah, at home.
And then, hold on. The defense said, wait a minute, Shannon. You need to go back and rephrase that. We only gave up 20 points. Somebody else gave up helping playing for the Dolphins. Did you see that, Skip Bayless? What was his QBR yesterday?
Yeah, is it my turn now?
That's your turn. Ooh, I don't know about this, but Skip, you remember when they played the Texans, Stephon Gilmore hopped on Twitter and tried to refute what DeAndre Hopkins said. I've been scanning his Twitter. I ain't seen him say nothing today.
No.
Devontae Adams cooked him. He ate him like Southerners eat fried catfish.
I thought you just said it was Tom Brady's fault.
He did. But I'm saying, but I want to get the Dolphins.
Wait, is Stephon playing receiver?
No. But I want to give him some love. I want to give Devontae some love because he don't get no love. He got to get him some love.
Well, wait.
Skip.
He plays for the Dolphins.
No,
he doesn't play for Brady.
No. I'm saying I want to give him some love.
Okay.
Skip, look. Think about this. One of the touchdowns, he threw it to a backup linebacker. You see what they got to resort to? Gadget plays. Because, Skip, consistently, if they can't run the ball down your throat, it's hard to get. You're talking about when Dak has to, play from, starting on the 6 and the 10-yard line. Skip, if you constantly have to go 12, 15, 17 plays to get points, it gets very difficult to do that. And that's what the Patriots are relegated to unless they can get a gadget play or a trick play. Skip, the defense, in the first 8 games, they gave up nothing. The defense allowed 17 or more points in just 4 times, and they lost all those games. At some point in time, you got to see what everybody else. I tell you, you might not see it. There are a lot of Patriots fans that won't see it. But I know that guy that stood there right there can't see it. The people at home can't see those guys.
Yep.
Coach Belichick sees it. But hold on. Skip, we had a discussion about 4 weeks ago when some NFL exec said, I don't believe the Patriots put their best effort against the Ravens because Bill was holding back. And I was outraged because I said, really, that's so disrespectful. Because I remember when our coaches, at the height of the Broncos, Skip, from 96 to 98, our coaches was putting in between 100 and 110 hours a week at work. I believe that's equivalent to what they do up in New England. And all of a sudden, they're not going to go out there and put their best foot forward. So what was the excuse that exec? I want to ask that exec. So why did they lose this one? They want to be wild cards? You know they need that rest, that off game, Skip, because that's what team because if you got a guy Nick, you good, you can hold him out. But Skip, Tom Brady. How many he had? Because you love to do this. Tom Brady had 221 yards passing yesterday.
Correct.
And one of those was a 50-yarder to Dorsett. So outside of that, he had 171. Isn't that how you do Saquon? So in other words, with all those other,
you can do it to Saquon every game. Every game.
I did it to him this game.
Yeah, okay.
So in other words, Skip Brady, your guy cost him the game.
I didn't even catch that.
Yesterday was obviously all about Belichick's defense. Yesterday, to me, felt like the end of the Patriots dynasty as we knew it. The end of the very uneasy Belichick-Brady alliance, the very troubled Belichick-Brady alliance, because now I will not be surprised if Mike Vrabel's Tennessee Titans go in there on Saturday evening and put a complete end to it in the first-round playoff game that they did not want to play.
But you know the Titans are better than people think.
They are much better, and they can run the ball. And by the way, the Dolphins can't run the ball a lick. And the Patriots are extremely vulnerable to the run. And yet, yesterday was about Fitzmagic throwing and throwing and throwing some more. So I will not be surprised, and this is my New Year's resolution. I want to see Tom Brady be the quarterback of the Los Angeles Chargers next year. And I think it's got real potential because I think this is over in New England. I want to see Bill Belichick get to go forward with Jared Stidham as his quarterback next year and what's left of his defense next year.
He might go forward with Dak.
Because this defense has fallen apart. Who knows? You don't
boy, you really love that with you.
Franchise.
But I don't skip it. You can only sign exclusive. What if Coach Belichick gives up 2 first-rounders for Dak?
Yeah, well, he might. I don't know. He's going to need to do something dramatic because he's going to lose Tom Brady at this
We ain't going to lose it. We get rid of it.
But
how you lose trash, Jitty?
Yesterday was clearly Bill Belichick's fault because Tom Brady, despite 4 more drops by Patriot receivers, did what he always does. He drove them 60 yards, 8 plays, had a big 3rd and 4 down at the Dolphins 32 that he converted, and he finally, on 3rd and goal from the 13, which was supposed to be 3rd and goal from the 8, but his 39-year-old tight end named Benjamin Watson false started, which you just don't see Patriots do. But he's 39 years old, and that's all Tom's got.
What you said he can't hear?
Yeah,
ain't nothing wrong with
can't hear the snap.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself, Skip.
And yet, 3rd and 13, 3rd and goal from the 13, Brady, there was a nice call, screen pass. He throws the sweetest screen passes, especially to James White. He got loose, and that was it. And that should have been it because that was a 4-point lead for the New England Patriots. That made it, 24-20.
Yep.
So, with 3:53 left in the game, in Foxborough, Massachusetts, where Tom Brady and Belichick were 30-0 as 14-plus point favorites.
Right.
Guess what happened? Ryan Fitzpatrick, the journeyman quarterback that you have little to no respect for because he's up and he's down, but he's mostly down.
He got about 2 or 3 games in him a year.
All right. He takes the ball 1st and 10 at his 25-yard line, and in 13 plays, he goes 75 yards. And one of the biggest plays was a 3rd down conversion pass to that guy named Devontae Parker. See, Tom Brady doesn't have a Devontae Parker. He doesn't have a Devontae Adams.
He got N'Keal Harry?
Yeah. And boy, I'm not seeing it. I'm sorry. I am not seeing it. He is not the guy I saw at Arizona State last year.
But Skip, it's going to take him some time. You giving up on the guy. I thought, what?
He didn't play for half the year, so that's
yes.
But all I know is, to your point, Devontae Parker annihilated the Defensive Player of the Year candidate that was Stephon Gilmore. And I think there have been times on the show when you have called him the Defensive Player of the Year, right?
Yeah.
And they just kept going to him and going to him and going. They threw 11 balls to Devontae Parker. Were they afraid of Stephon?
No.
I think not. Was Dallas afraid of Stephon? I think so, because he made my guy cry. He made Amari cry and go and pout on the sideline. I can't get open against him. I don't even deserve to be on the field. Devontae Parker gets 11 targets and catches 8 of them for 137 yards.
He was smooth.
Are you kidding me? 17 yards a catch against Stephon Gilmore, and it was all single coverage.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know. I don't have the coach's tape, but to my eyes, it looked like single coverage the whole game.
Well, it kind of looked like, Skip, he was guessing a lot, too, because he thought the ball was going to come out, because on the one up the rail, you see him, he's thinking the ball was going to come out. And sometimes, Skip, like when you play this, and I've said this, when you play this much man coverage, coverage, this much cover zero, Skip.
Yep.
If you got a competent quarterback and some decent, they don't all have to be Julio.
Okay.
And, Skip, you know Fitzpatrick. Now, he's already beaten him twice before. Yeah. He beat him at the Jets. He beat him at Buffalo. Those games were at home. Now, you know Fitzmagic. He got 2 to 3 games in a year. You said if that guy had to put that together over the course of a career, he's a Hall of Famer.
Okay.
Skip, you know he got it in him now.
Okay, but I also know that Bill Belichick's defense at home, needing only to hold you to not just a field goal, you have to score a touchdown to win the game.
Right.
75 yards and 13 plays, and you can't stop Ryan Fitzpatrick at this stage and age of his career? Are you kidding me? The lowly Dolphins that you've just completely nuked on this show, right?
Yep.
And you go 13 plays, 75 yards to win the game and knock them out of a bye and out of the 2 seed? Are you kidding me?
Crazy.
But I think Flores did a great job early on of confusing Tom Brady, Skip. Obviously, having practiced against Tom Brady, he's been in that organization from 2004 until 2018. He's seen a lot of coaches' tape. He's seen a lot of practice time against Tom Brady. He did a great job. If you notice, Skip, Julian Edelman got no free releases. Someone shoved him and rushed, or somebody shoved him and dropped him.
Julian Edelman is a wreck. Now they're reporting that his shoulder's so bad it needs surgery, and he shouldn't have been out there. He was a decoy only all day. They threw him, 5 balls? He caught 3 of them? No, 7 balls.
Doesn't look himself.
He's just not himself.
No. Right.
So look at this Patriot defense. Since that Baltimore debacle, it's now 10th over the last 6 games in points allowed. And it's 13th in rushing in the league. It's just not the same. It's not intercepting the ball. It's not taking the ball away, which leads me back to the pick 6 that Tom Brady threw. Still, when he loses his only trusted receiver, Julian Edelman, he can't find anybody open. Nobody can separate. So what happened on the play before the pick 6? Could we see the play before the pick 6? Here's our man Sanu, who looks like a bust to me. And here's Tom Brady, and against the pressure, he throws it right to him, and you know it's going to be a first down, and he just cold drops it.
I don't know about no first down, but it's been a catch.
He's just been dropping them all year. Just catch the ball. He should just run by him. If you're that guy, you got an angle on him. So then the next play is the pick 6, and what happens on the pick 6? Brady looks left. He reads 1, 2, 3. Nobody's open, and he throws a frustrated. And he did this at Baltimore. Remember the frustrated ball? He just threw up the middle of the field for an interception. This is just a frustrated. God, nobody's open again. I'm just going to throw it in the flat. And Sony Michel had leaked into the flat, and so he's carrying the defense right toward Edelman. And guess who's standing there right in the middle between them? Eric Rowe's just standing there like, I'll catch it if you guys won't. I'll take it, and I'll go to the house.
And Skip, but even though he's frustrated, but Tom Brady knows, Skip, you can't scan the field like that and then come back cross field late.
It was almost a no-look.
Yes.
It was a no-look. He just whipped it into the flat.
You're asking for trouble.
Okay, I got it. But that's what he has come to. That's what this team has come to. That's what this defense has come to. And, again, they're a 5-point early favorite at home against the Tennessee Titans, and I do not love them.
Skip, going into this game, the Patriots with Tom Brady and Coach Belichick was 135-1 when they had a 4-point lead entering the fourth quarter.
Okay, there you go.
At any point in time.
That was the biggest upset of Brady's career, and the biggest upset for the Patriots since 1978.
No mercy.
Jason Garrett finished the year at 8-8 for the 4th time in his 9 full seasons with the Cowboys. After a 3-0 start, Dallas stumbled down the stretch, losing 4 of their last 6 games. And yesterday, Jerry Jones said, quote, "There's no door shut here tonight," when discussing Garrett's future. The Cowboys head coach is under contract until January 14th, but this morning, Jerry said he's scheduled to meet with the Jones family after a team meeting at noon local time. So, interesting there. Shannon, should Jason Garrett be fired? And also, will he be fired?
No, I don't believe he deserves to be fired, but I believe he will be fired. The problem that I have with this situation is that Jason Garrett never received the credit for them winning as much blame as he got for them losing. That bothers me. Because what would normally happen in a situation like this, let me tell you what would happen. You hand out a contract to the running back and he doesn't perform to what you said he should. You hand out that kind of money to a linebacker and he doesn't perform like you said he should. Guess who loses their job? The general manager. Oh, wait a minute. That's Jerry. You see what I did there, Jerry? That's who should get fired. What Jerry does not understand, that every time he does a press conference, every time that he does a radio show, Skip, he strips a little power away from Jason Garrett in his talking. And the players see that. It's like, kids, we're grown men, but we're like kids. We see, oh, he said that. You ain't got no power. I ain't got to talk to you. I go over your head. If I got a problem with something, I ain't coming to you, the head coach. Take it above you. And that's the problem. Jerry, I don't know how a coach can be successful. Now, he's tried it, and he's really never had the success. And that team that won the championship, Skip, in '95, I believe, the last year they won it. Once they started, the free agency hit, and all the guys the talent that Jimmy had accumulated started to go other places and get big money, never been the same. And he's spoken down, with the exception of Parcells. Now, he showed Parcells the respect that a head coach, I believe, should warrant. But nobody else, be it Campo or all these other coaches. Chan Gailey was my position coach when I first got to Denver. All the Wade Phillips, all these other guys, Skip, they never got the credit, or they never got the respect of being a head coach that they deserve. And I think therein lies the problem, and what Jerry's going to run into at some point in time, Skip. He's done it this way for 25 years, and he's come up empty. I think you might want to try something a different way. It's kind of like he's in the oil field, and he was drilling a certain type of way, and he wasn't striking it rich. He tried, he'd get into a different type of business, or he'd try to find a different way to drill. Well, Jerry keeps doing it this way, and he keeps coming up unsuccessful. Something's got to change, Skip. Something needs to change.
So I'm not going to use 2020 hindsight hypocrisy on this. I said Jason Garrett should have been fired 7 years ago.
Yeah.
After the 2012 season. So he obviously needs to be fired now. But to Jenny's other question about Willie, I'm starting to have my doubts. For Jerry to admit publicly that I'm going to sit down with Jason and he's going to talk to the team, I don't know. It's starting to feel like maybe he's going to try to create a new narrative of we finished strong, we got a lot of bad breaks.
Give him one more crack at this thing?
Yeah, give him another crack at this thing. And if it happens, I might have to just...
Yeah, we might have to commit you.
I might have to forfeit my fandom. I might have to choose a new team. I might have to become an Eagles fan. I don't know.
No, we don't want you over here.
I don't know if you could handle it, honestly.
You've been a Cowboys fan for 50 plus years. We don't go to on our Eagles bandwagon.
It's been a stressful year for him.
Good. Not stressful enough.
It's been the worst ride of my life, and it's thanks in large part to Coach Clapp. Nobody in this league claps better than Jason Garrett. No coach butt slaps better than Jason Garrett. No coach gives congratulatory shoves like Jason Garrett. Did you see the ones he gives? Like he's always shoving everybody, shoving them.
Especially Amari Cooper and Dak.
We got to see a shove if we got one. I saw one on our B-roll. He's always shoving guys.
Good job, guys.
Here comes a shove.
Wait for it.
Wait a second. Wait a second.
Hug it out. Hug it out.
Energy.
Come on. Oh, now he's even butt slapping the referee. So, there it is. There's a little playful shove. That's what he does. Nobody does those things better. But this team has tuned out Jason Garrett. And after the game yesterday, I nearly puked when I read this quote. No, I actually saw it on television. What? The quote from Jason saying, "The character of these men showed up today." These men showed up today.
They showed up, yeah.
We challenged the team to stand tall, and stand tall they did, said Jason Garrett. The team wants to vomit over those quotes because the team doesn't care anymore. So what did we have this year? We had Jerry summing it up last night after the game. He said the inconsistencies that were involved with this season are mind-boggling. Correct?
Yeah.
Inconsistent. Way up, way down.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The Rams game, the first Eagles game and the Rams game. What did you see? Tour de force. You saw everything that could have been right about the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
You saw a team that, to Troy Aikman's point, could have been as dangerous as any team in the postseason, but it didn't get in the postseason. You saw a team that was favored in 15 out of 16 games that went 8-8. That's got to be the end of that coach. Again, I would have fired him after his second 8-8 season. He went 8-8 in his first year, which was 2011, and then after another 8-8 in 2012, because I covered Jason and I knew Jason fairly well as a player, I just didn't think he was cut out to be the CEO of a team, the leader of a team. I think he could be a pretty good, maybe even a very good play caller, offensive coordinator, but that's not his job now. His job is to command and inspire a football team, and he's not very good at that. He's a nice guy, and he's a great, quote-unquote, son for Jerry to have. And as Troy said at the end of the telecast yesterday, Jerry Jones would like nothing better than to have Jason stay on as head coach. So I think he's going to look for every reason to keep him. And he may be, they may have a big sit down today, and Jason can be very forthright and earnest and say, we're going to change this, and I'm going to fire that guy and fire that guy.
Jerry's like, who you recommend? Because remember, Jerry said, every coach that you see on this staff, I put him there.
Yep.
Therein lies the problem, Skip. At some point in time, you got to let a coach, look, you let him hire some of the people that he wants. Let him cut. You said that there are people on this roster that did not fulfill their obligation contractually. But Jason Garrett gets blamed for that. Jason didn't give Zeke money. He didn't give Jalen Smith money. He didn't give all that money to those offensive linemen.
I agree with your big picture premise of this whole thing. The owner should fire the owner. He should fire himself. But and I know, it's not realistic.
No, he can stay on as owner, but just
fire himself as a GM. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, but then as owner, is he going to be like an absentee owner?
No.
Is he going to be an owner you never hear, never see?
No. Skip, look, we don't expect him to be ghost like the only thing is Daniel Snyder owns the team, never says anything. We don't expect him to or be like the McCaskies up in Virginia, McCaskey in Chicago.
How about the first owner of the Dallas Cowboys that went on for 20-odd years? Was Clint Murkison.
And nobody knew who he was.
No, he was a ghost.
They thought people actually thought the GM was the owner of the team.
That is true. Tex Schramm.
That
is correct.
People actually thought Tex Schramm owned the team because nobody ever heard or even saw the owners elected.
Okay. That's one way to do it.
Yeah. No, that's not him. He's not going to do that, but I'm Skip. Must you have a must you talk first to the media after every game? Must you have a radio and a TV show?
It's why he bought the team in 1989, and he bought it on a song, and he was only allowed to buy it by, what's his name? I'll think of his name. What's his name? The guy from I'll think of it in just a second. But I was going to say Bun Phillips, but that's not who he was. But he allowed Jerry to buy the team just because he despised Tom Landry, and Jerry said, I will fire Tom Landry.
Right.
I see.
Bum Bright is his name. Bum Bright.
Okay.
So the point was that he picked the guy who was the lowest bidder, who was putting it together on a shoestring. And I know it's a lot of money, but Jerry was barely pulling it off at the time. And now what's his worth is like
$6 billion.
It might. You could argue it was the greatest investment ever.
What did he say?
Right?
Like he paid the loan off in like 3 years?
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's like some like it was like $120, $130 million.
Right.
Which is in today's that's a lot, especially back in the late 80s. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money now.
Okay.
But it was really a lot of money back then, especially when you didn't really have that kind of money.
Yeah.
So why did he buy the team? As he told, I wrote a whole book about this. He wanted to be in the center of attention.
Yes.
He was just some oil and gas guy, and he was at an oil and gas convention in Cabo San Lucas.
Yes.
When he read in the San Diego paper, the Cowboys were for sale. It's just like a little blurb at the bottom of the page. And he said, I'm going to buy them. And he called up Salomon Brothers in New York, who was the broker for the deal, and said, you don't know me, I'm Jerry Jones, but I'm going to buy the Dallas Cowboys. And by God, he pulled it off.
What a story.
Right?
More people know Steve Ballmer for owning the Clippers than ever knew he was the CEO.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So the point is, he bought them to be a star.
Yes.
And he is the biggest owner star in the history of sports. I know George Steinbrenner was big, but I don't think he was as big sort of internationally as Jerry Jones is.
Yeah, especially now with the social media and the advent of social media.
Yeah.
But I think he took a lot of George Steinbrenner and Al Davis. Al Davis was the guy that he modeled his
mentor.
His ownership after.
Yeah.
But Skip, you look at these owners. Stan Kroenke had a ton of money before he owned the Rams. Mm-hmm. But people know him because the sports franchises.
And yet I barely know him. I barely know him. He doesn't talk.
I met him at Mr. Nolan's memorial.
Yep.
That was the first time I ever heard him speak. He doesn't really.
And he's owned teams in every sport.
Yeah. Avalanche, Nuggets, and you got a soccer team.
I'm not sure I could pick him out of a lineup.
No.
I'm not sure.
You probably could. You probably with the mustache because he has the big mustache. But other than that, Skip, at some point in time, Skip, Jerry's got to why he can't take a step back, Skip? They're still your Cowboys. They're still your team. And if you win the Super Bowl, Commissioner Goodell will hand you the trophy first. Yeah. You will get first crack at talking. Yeah.
Well, he always says you wouldn't believe the check I would write to win another Super Bowl, but you would believe what he wouldn't do to win that, which is to fire himself.
Let me ask you a question, Skip. If they say, Jerry, we're going to let you you can win the Super Bowl, but you can't do a press conference and you couldn't talk you couldn't do or have a radio show, you think he takes that for the Super Bowl?
I would hope he would, but I'm not sure he would.
I don't know if he could see past
I'm not sure he would.
Yeah.
Let that sink in for a second. All you got to do is not do no radio interviews for the year.
I want to cover a Cowboys game just so I can see the media frenzy after to see everyone around him.
That's all they care about is what's Jerry going to say.
Right.
Yeah.
It's at least as big as the outcome of the game is Jerry's post-game interview.
Because normally, Skip, what do you guys were scurrying in the locker room to try to talk to the quarterback or the Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, some defensive guy that had a good game. Mm-hmm. The guys are already dressed, fully dressed, before the guys go in there. They worried about what Jerry gonna say. What's Jerry gonna say?
When I covered the teams in the 90s, Jerry didn't do this after.
Oh, really?
No!
He did not.
Not with Jimmy?
No.
Has he ever tried to do one on the field? I feel like that's
I don't know.
Like he'll get with the sideline reporter.
And that's what he and Jimmy ended up clashing about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jimmy
Control.
had too much power.
It was about
and he
control.
wanted, like, hold on, you mean to tell me how the guy that's I'm paying him can tell me what I can and can't do?
Yep.
So this meeting with Jason Garrett and the Jones family is scheduled to be sometime after the noon hour. So we will wait and see if anything comes of that. Right about when we wrap up things.
You can get that good news. I'm make sure I call you.
Yeah.
We'll see. We're going to break down.
I'm going to give him one more year.
Will you come? If he announces he's back, will you be here? That'll be a tough week.
No mercy.
Well, the NFC East came down to the final games of the season yesterday. Tied heading into the fourth quarter, the Eagles were able to pull out the win over the Giants and clinch the division. The Philly win made the Cowboys' 47-16 blowout victory over the Redskins mean nothing, as Dallas will be watching the playoffs from home after a hot start to the season that ended with them dropping 4 of their last 6 games. We're now joined by Fox NFL analyst Michael Vick. Good to have you. Mike, your biggest takeaway from how the NFC East played out?
My biggest takeaway is probably the coaching, because there was more coverage and eyes on the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles than probably every team in all of football. And when you look at what the Philadelphia Eagles was able to do, to go out and win games with pretty much a scout team, B and C-class players. It's a testament to the coaching.
I know what you're talking about.
A testament to the coaching and the entire coaching staff. You know, they pretty much had a star quarterback and guys like Boston Scott, you know, pretty much willed that team to win. And, you know, down the stretch, it was all decided by, you know, the Cowboys versus the Eagles. And, you know, the Eagles beating the Giants 2 times. And, you know, so, you know, I don't want to state the obvious and continue to do that as far as the players that was hurting wasn't on the field. But, you know, when you look at this Philadelphia Eagles coaching staff, you know, some of these coaches need to be taken into consideration for head coaching jobs around the league, because if they can do that good of a job, that means there's somebody other than Doug Peterson putting in input like Frank Wright did, you know, during the Super Bowl run and help this team put themselves in a position. Every other team, but I can't say every other team.
Has been a head coach. Yeah. He did a good job down the stretch.
And the Dallas Cowboys, they had their opportunities. They didn't make it happen. And that's the way the chips fell. But, you know, when I look at the coaching and how precise the Philadelphia Eagles was down the stretch, it was really the main reason why this team got into the playoffs, and rightfully so. So I think the rest of the NFC East, you know, can get stronger as the years go on. But as of right now, Philadelphia deserves all the credit.
Best quarterback in the NFC East, you walk into him.
I think we just discussed the best quarterback.
No, first of all, we did not. No, he's not. Stop it. Vick, who the better quarterback?
Between
walk into him and no Dak.
Don't put him on the spot like that.
I mean,
he's an ex-Eagle.
All I know, think about this here. You just said that man won the division.
was the man right now.
You just said that man won the division with scout team guy.
He's the man right now.
That's what we talk about.
Words.
That's what we talk about right now in the foreseeable future. But it was Skip. Look, if you can go out there, Robert Davis, 6th-round draft pick in 2017, Deontay Burnett, Greg Ward, Boston Scott. I said Boston Scott was an undrafted free agent. He was a 6th-round draft pick of the Saints a couple of years back, Skip. No wide receiver on that roster had 500 yards, and you got a 4,000-yard passing quarterback. That's unheard of. Only 3 starters that started yesterday started the season with this man. The center, left guard, left tackle. Let that sink in for a second, Skip. They got guys that's making plays, and I told you from top to bottom structurally. Mr. Lurie, how he handles things, Howie Roseman, Skip, there's a chain of command. Skip,
I'll give you that.
They understand talent.
Skip, you got to have a chain. Okay, you got layers. You can't have, one guy controls all this, and then you get to the coach. Well, and plus, every time you talk, you strip power away from the coach because they hear what you say.
I agree. All that's true. You got me.
But Skip, when the rubber needed to meet the road, you talked about, and you laughed at me. You laughed at me when they lost to Fitzmagic. Fitzmagic? How you lose? You got little to no respect for Ryan Fitzpatrick. I said, you're right, Skip. I said, but you know what? And Michael Vick, you came out here that day. I said, guess what? My guy, Cowboys will do Cowboys things, and they're not going to win the division. My guy walk into him. I believed in him. Last 4 games, no interceptions. That's how you win games. You beat teams. Now, when you guys had them early in the year, I didn't hear Skip say anything about the Giants are terrible, Washington's terrible. But guess what? My team had to do that your team couldn't do. Beat Buffalo, beat Chicago, beat the Jets. All you got to do, you win one of those games, and you're the division champs. My guy did it, your guy didn't, so I'm the champ. I got a T-shirt coming, but the East is not enough. That's what my T-shirt gonna say.
Every team has something that says the division.
No.
Everybody does it.
I tell you who don't have that. They ain't got none with the Cowboys.
No.
The Cowboys
Not today.
The Cowboys on point to some third world country right now. There's gonna be some kid right now with some tennis shoes and a Cowboy shirt saying the East is not enough.
That's not good.
I told you they just accepted an invitation to the Alamo Bowl. They're going to play in the Alamo Bowl tomorrow night.
But Skip, at some point in time, you have to give Walker to him some credit now. Give him some credit for what he's done over the last month.
For what? No, seriously, for what?
Winning with BNC class players.
He beat the 4-12 Giants twice, and the first time he barely pulled it out in overtime after stinking it up for 3.5 quarters at home. It was some of the most pathetic throwing I've seen any quarterback do all year, and it was at home. And suddenly they caught fire. If you can catch fire in the NFC least, I don't know how you do.
It's the least now.
It's the least.
Well, you caught fire last year.
They beat the Giants in overtime. The Cowboys just wiped out the Giants twice. It was 35-17 and 37-18, and it took overtime at home to beat the Giants.
But look what he's doing with the
QBR was
players.
53 in that game.
Look at the players.
Well, he had Zach Ertz. He had him, and he had Dallas Goedert. And he had
Greg Ward Jr.
Greg Ward Jr. is pretty good. Even Michael Vick said last week he's pretty good.
So Skip told me earlier. Not to cut you off, Skip told me earlier that the Eagles receivers that they went out there with yesterday is better than the Cowboys receivers.
Not yesterday. I said for the whole year.
For the whole year.
The whole group.
He said the whole group. He said that.
I agree with that.
I'm talking about Alshon and Ertz and Dallas Goedert. We don't have a tight end. We got Jason Witten. We didn't have. Come on, we had no threat at tight end because Blake Jarwin didn't get to play all year.
Wait,
Okay? Well, I can't help it. I can't. That's what they chose to do.
And did you hear what Jason Witten say yesterday? It wasn't in our hands.
What wasn't in your hand?
Yeah, you talking about them not making the playoffs wasn't in their hands. Yes, it was, Skip. You had it in your hand.
Both of those teams control their own destiny.
Okay.
Yes.
So then
they both control their own destiny.
Carson Wentz goes to Washington. The Redskins are pathetic. They're 3-13, and today they have a new football coach. And it took Carson Wentz going to the fourth quarter of that game, losing a fumble, so the Redskins immediately cashed a field goal and went ahead 27-24. And with 3 minutes left, he starts a drive, and with 26 seconds left, he throws a touchdown pass to Greg Ward Jr. against a secondary that had 8 cornerbacks this year on injured reserve and 1 suspended. And that was who the Cowboys tore apart yesterday.
Exactly.
And I'm not impressed.
But you did that with all your starters. We did that with backup. That was our third running back. Boston Scott is the third running back.
You know what? He looks like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He looks like that kind of guy. He looks talented to me. He was really good for them.
He got some quickness.
He's got some spark to him.
Remember, Skip, Saints had Darren Sproles.
I got it.
And I believe that's why they drafted him, because he reminds them of Darren Sproles.
Okay.
The reason I talked about coaching staffs and being able to scout talent and knowing what you have behind your backups and how to make sure that these guys who are sitting behind these starting players can be the best that they can be when they step out on the field is because you never know when you're going to need them. Mm-hmm. And when guys got to fill in and they filled in the way that they filled in for the Philadelphia Eagles, it's a credit not just to the coaching staff,
Howie
but
Roseman, I agree.
So you hear that, Tony Pollard?
Yeah.
So normally when you're a backup, Mike, you prepare yourself because if something happens, you're going to go in. Now, Tony Pollard got an opportunity. He got called against the Eagles. Last
Eagles,
week.
yeah.
And what happened?
Well, he got thrown in for 2 plays only. 2 plays. And they were the 2 key plays of the game as the turning point.
Miles Sanders goes down. Boston Scott, you're up. Now, not only do you stay with your special team stuff, but you still got to bring it home to it and running the football and catching the football out of the backfield.
All right, so they did. They had the easiest closing schedule in the league. Nobody was easier than
But I'll
this.
say this, Skip. It's so hard to win in the National Football League, and I don't care who you play.
And I give you that. But the turning point of the year, sometimes it's just meant to be. I told you this when it happened. What killed me the most was that night game up at Lambeau, Eagles at Packers. Remember this?
Yeah.
And the great Aaron Rodgers, the transcendent throw of the football, on the last play of the game, he misses his little undrafted rookie Darius Shepard. He goes into the flat, and he's wide open, like just to underhand him the ball, and he missed the read because the Eagles completely blew the coverage.
Skip.
And Aaron Rodgers threw an interception to Valdez-Scantling. He forced it in, and it changed, because if you cash there, the Eagles, we're not having this conversation.
Okay, what about if the Cowboys cash against the Jets?
Okay.
What about Chicago?
Well, they weren't going to cash that.
What about the Eagles?
I mean, hold on. Y'all opened the season with the easiest starting schedule. We closed. So it was easy for both of us, just at different times.
Disappointed in the Cowboys.
I'm not.
So
Okay,
disappointed.
but it's who you play. It's not who you play, but when you play them. Because we got Miami when they were terrible. Remember what Lamar did to Miami on opening day? That was horrendous.
Right. And we got him with Fizz Magic.
Okay. All right.
So imagine we'd have got him with Rosen.
Yeah. You could have. Okay. There's a lot. You got Luke Falk in a game at the Eagles. Luke Falk.
Sam Darnold had mono for a week, for a month.
For a month.
They said he weighed 117 pounds.
They did not.
That is not a real story.
They did not.
Mono is
imagine that.
horrible, but he was.
Then they gave him Pedialyte the whole week to get him up to strength.
Hydrated him.
What happened the week before Dallas is going to play the game of the year at the Eagles? My quarterback can't practice, needs a cortisone shot in his right shoulder. Okay?
Dak's credit, I still think Dak was hurt.
Thank you.
In that game versus
Thank
the
you.
Eagles.
Yeah.
But
thank you.
He shouldn't have been out on the field.
Was he hurt yesterday?
What does
No,
it
he had to
matter
suck it
yesterday?
up. Yesterday was suck it up.
It was over.
He sucked it up. You see that? He sucked it up against Washington. I told you, he's the perfect quarterback for the Cowboys. Front run. When things going good, look how they jumped on the Eagles when the Eagles came there. Jumped on them. Look how they jumped on the Rams. Jumped on them. Look at Washington. But boy, when they need that thing, what about New Orleans? What about Eagles the second time?
What about his first 3 years in the NFL?
I don't know about that.
First 3 years, he led the whole NFL in game-winning drives. Game-winning drives.
You know,
this guy.
Something about my memory, I can only remember a year at a time. So I only go back to 2019. What did he do this year?
So it was meant to be for your Eagles that you adopted.
Eagles.
We made it.
Yeah, you made it, and you won by default.
No, we didn't.
Default.
No, we won because it's your fault that you picked the wrong team 50 years ago.
50 years ago.
You want to get on a different team? I'll let you get on a different team right now. I'll let you have a different
available.
team.
Well, I'm monitor the Cowboys situation closely over the next week to see who they bring in as a coach, if it's a coaching change.
Jason Garrett.
It's so imperative right now.
something.
They're bringing in Jason Garrett. Bringing Jason Garrett back.
Yeah.
Red deserves another opportunity.
Red. I'm going to see red.
Stop.
If red
We don't
comes
need
back.
that. Oh, by the way, Carson Wentz's birthday today.
Hold on.
what a
hold on.
birthday
You
gift.
Hold on. Guess who else's birthday it is today?
Oh, I
Skip?
know. LeBron.
Happy birthday, LeBron.
And you know who else? Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods.
What a
And
day.
it's my Tonka Man Sharpe birthday, my dog.
Oh, really?
So
this is about
I
the best
One
thing
down.
ever.
expect Carson Wentz to do the things LeBron and Tiger have done.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
That's some
Oh, that's some
Good company.
expectation.
I don't know if he's going to be athlete of the decade, but he's going to be in consideration moving forward.
Is he?
The 2020 is going to be walking to him time.
No mercy.
Well, the final game of the regular season came down to the wire. Down 5, the Seahawks drove the ball all the way down to the 49ers' 1-yard line. But after spiking the ball on first down, they received a delay of game penalty that pushed them back to the 6. After 2 straight incompletions, Russell Wilson finally found his tight end, Jacob Hollister. But Hollister came up centimeters short of the game-winning touchdown. The win gives the Niners the top seed in the NFC. So, Shannon, what was your biggest problem with the end of the game?
Yeah, my biggest problem was taking the delay of the game. For that situation, Skip, look, when you're in a 2-minute drill situation, and I was in that, and I was with one of the all-time great 2-minute quarterbacks in John Elway, Skip, you call 2 plays in the huddle. And you stay in the same formation, Skip. So in other words, if you're in the right formation, you stay there. That way you don't spend time running around switching sides. Call 2 plays, first one on 1, second one on set her. Okay, boom. Skip, they got the ball down there at the 1-yard line. Skip, why not just run to the line? They trying to run packages on the field to get Marshawn. Skip, you can't make up for 4 years ago. You're not getting Super Bowl 49 back. That is over. So getting Marshawn in there on this game situation, let it go, Pete. All you want to do is just score the ball. Skip, they're in the huddle when they get to the delay of the game. I've never seen a team get a delay of the game, and they still in the huddle.
Yeah.
Not at the line of scrimmage, okay, you barking off cadence. Okay, I get that. And you're like, oh, man, lost track. Skip, you in the huddle. And you just the second time, Pete. I don't know what it is with you, but Skip, you've seen Tom Brady, you've seen Drew, you've seen Aaron Rodgers, and I believe Russell Wilson has this kind of cachet. I got it. We're on the 1 yard line. I got it. Look, I know I got it. Go ahead and run the play. And the play before that, Skip, that was pass interference. I don't know. New Orleans says
play after that.
Yeah, Skip, that was pass interference. Skip, why do you got this rule? And I told you, Skip, I said, Skip, you wanted the rule to some of you get it right. I said, but Skip, they're not gonna they don't be wanting to overturn because that's gonna be looking like, hold on. No. Skip, that's pass interference. And if you got the rule in, why the hell you got it in if that's not pass interference? And there have been some just as egregious, like I said, that was just as egregious as the one that Roby Coleman did on the guy last year that caused the rules to get implemented. But for me, Skip, it should have never even come down to that because Skip, you can't take a delay of the game while you still in the huddle on that play.
So remember, Marshawn just joined the team last week, so he had a couple of practices, and he's trying to cram on how they do the personnel groups.
Right.
And obviously, he was confused. They were confused. It took them a while to decide. Marshawn, no Marshawn. He had gone over the top of the pile for another touchdown. So I'm sure Pete is thinking, could we do it again? Can we pull it off again? Or will they be laying for him and bust him up high and he'll lose the ball? And there was some indecision. And to your point, you cannot do that. No. I got it. You just can't take a delay with the game on. It's on a silver platter for you to go win it. You're at the 1 yard line and you spiked and you're good. You're good. You got plenty of time. You could quarterback sneak it. You could do 1,000 little things.
Thank you.
Okay. So now, to my point, here we go again. Because all of that was rendered null and void. All of that was canceled by the throw that Russell did make to one Jacob Hollister, who, by the way, in 17 and 18, he was a New England Patriot. And one of Tom Brady's favorite targets, but Bill Belichick traded him to Seattle for what's going to become a 7th-round draft choice. He's caught 41 balls. In fact, he's become kind of a clutch go-to guy, especially in the red zone.
He's a decent receiver.
He's pretty good. And I'm sure if Tom Brady were watching last night, he's saying, boy, I could have used Jacob Hollister this year.
Probably,
could he have not?
Yes.
So here we go again with another blown call that well might determine the NFC's representative to the Super Bowl. This was for seed. This was for number 1 seed or who goes where in the playoffs. And it is an outrageous, obvious, blatant pass interference. And on NBC, their ex-referee just jumped right in and said, nope, that's pass interference. And nothing happened. And all of a sudden, Seattle's going back to the line, and they're going to snap the ball. And I'm saying, what is happening? Stop it. Blow the whistle. At least booth review it.
Right, there you go. That's what I was thinking. I was like, hold on, can't the booth review that even if they don't call it?
Yes. So Al Riveron said after the game, we didn't see anything there. What do you mean you didn't see anything? What are you talking about?
That's what makes you so upset, Skip. You watching that casual person at home that doesn't follow the NFL or cover the NFL like you for 40 years. No, that's PI.
They know because Fred Warner just tackles him. And if it's nothing less, it should at least be defensive holding.
Right.
You could call holding, you could call passing. Either one, you start over, and you're going to be back to first and goal at the 1, and you're going to have 15 seconds left.
Well, or half the distance to the goal line.
Yeah, half the distance, So the point, if you do that. But if you call
if you put it on the goal line, you put it on the 1 yard line.
1 yard line. So the point is, how can you say there's nothing there? Because the magnitude of that, to your point, is equal to the New Orleans blunder last year, the Roby Coleman.
Yes.
Because it cost Seattle the football game.
Right.
And it cost
Saints.
It cost the Saints. It cost the Packers the number 1. The Packers are sitting on the 1 seed with 2 home games at Lambeau to get to the Super Bowl.
Right.
And I could say they've earned it. They're 13-3 too.
And New Orleans, now all of a sudden, New Orleans was going to be the 2 seed.
I know.
Now they're the 3 seed.
Yeah.
Seattle was about to be the 3 seed. And they're like, we about to get somebody at home. Now they got to go on the road.
They got to go to the Eagles. And all of a sudden, it's going to be hard for me to bet against the 49ers with 2 home games to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They're looking pretty strong.
Sure.
Yet they should have lost that game.
Right.
I'm sorry. How can you do that? How can you try to sell that to people? And I love there's a tweet late last night from our man Tony Dungy, and I have a lot of respect for Tony now, obviously with NBC, and he said, I think we got our answer on whether or not obvious pass interference penalties would be overturned in the playoffs. No. Where was the NFL office on that third down play? Well, where were they? I'm waiting.
Right. But
no.
don't come out there. Don't insult people's intelligence and say we didn't see anything. Yeah, if you closed your eyes, you didn't see anything. But if you're watching that game, that's obvious pass interference.
So they paid lip service all year to, we give you the right to challenge this.
Thank you.
Except in the last 2 minutes when it's our turn to challenge it up in the booth. Well, nobody even challenged this enough to take a second look. You know, at least if they had just done their due diligence enough to give me a review.
Even if they don't call the penalty, just look at it.
Yeah, at least if you had looked at it, I'd say, okay, maybe. I'd still have an issue with it, but I'd say, okay, at least you took your time and you made a calculated choice to say, we don't see anything there. No.
That's ridiculous, Skip.
It's just ridiculous.
I mean, and we've seen those throughout the course of the year. Where we've seen guys run up guys' back, we've seen guys hold, and it's like pretend like nothing happened.
Okay.
Why do you have, and I believe, Skip, they're going to do away with this rule. Because they just did that because like you said, it cost the Saints an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. And everybody was so outraged, even the owner, Miss Benson, she wrote a letter, said how disappointed she was, yada, yada, yada. And so they said, you know what, we're going to give you service for a year. But I believe this rule goes away after this year. Because what am I challenging for when you're not going to overturn it?
I know. So then they review the last play to Jacob Hollister, which clearly he was short.
He was short.
Yes. Richard Sherman is standing over the play at the goal line, and he just throws up his hands like, we won.
He got the ball in his right arm, and his left arm is the one that's laying on the goal line. How are you going to think that's a touchdown?
No, it didn't even need to be reviewed. I was like, game over. Thank you.
Crazy.
But give the linebacker credit, Skip, because that was so close to be helmet to helmet.
Fair.
I mean, just think about it.
It was close.
But they wouldn't have called it.
No.
If they're not in that situation right there.
No.
You're not starting to get them one untimed down with no time on the clock. Nope.
Well, congratulations, 49ers. You lucked into it.
What you mean? Although they had to go on the road and beat New Orleans. They did do that, right?
They pulled that one off.
Okay, what about Green Bay?
They lost a game to Atlanta at home.
They did.
It happens. You never know. Are you worried about the Eagles, or are you going to be okay?
We'll get some win.
Now you got Seattle
as well.
Seattle's about as beat up as Philly.
They ain't beat up like us.
I don't know.
They ain't beat up like us yet.
Okay.
No mercy.
The Eagles' win yesterday officially eliminated the Cowboys from the playoffs, and the Eagles will be hosting a playoff game next week while the Cowboys watch from home. Down the stretch, Dallas lost 4 of their last 6 games, including a loss to the Eagles in Week 16. And meanwhile, the Eagles reeled off 4 straight wins to finish the year and capture their 2nd division title in 3 years. So, former Eagles and Cowboys DB Scandrick with us this morning. Orlando.
Here we go.
Oh,
You've
what
been
a
here
day.
a couple times with us.
What a day. I got to start it off.
You were hot on the Cowboys this year, a little bit down on Philly. So
let me pay Unc first.
oh boy,
paying
what's
off?
happening? Where is this going on?
These little bottles, now the big ones, he wasn't able to get to the big bottles because we do the big bottles because he said the Cowboys was going to win the East even when he had an upper hand. I said, no, they're not. So these little deuces, these little bottles right here, baby bottles of deuces.
I think those suffice.
You think they're going to get them through the New Year's Eve, right?
I don't know. We'll see. This guy around here. Well,
sit there right there.
nice
Go ahead,
for
make
you
it
to
point.
pay
That'll get you through the afternoon.
Yeah. After my workout.
Started off by saying that Eagles team, I gotta take my hat off.
Yeah.
Tip it to them.
By the way, is that green you're wearing?
Yeah, but it's no. It's not going too far. I would say this is more. Yeah.
Olive. Yeah.
Olive. I was impressed. Seriously impressed. They band together. When the more pressure they had, the more loose they played. Skip, I hate to say this, but we got the Cowboys and the Eagles, and they're 2 organizations going total opposite directions, and I'm concerned. Once again,
Told me how much you love the organization.
I do. No, I love the ownership. I love the way that it's a it feels like a family business, but the bottom line is the bottom line when it comes to, at the end of the day, when you wake up and you say, do you got a W or did you go to a Shay Shay restaurant?
Yeah.
With a hot ale special.
I was wrong. I didn't see this coming at all. And I hope they get it figured out at Dallas. It's a lot. You got a quarterback. You got the Eagles, who have a quarterback that it doesn't matter what anybody says about him in their organization, they believe in him. You got Dallas, where it's how much is he worth? Is he not worth this? Is he not worth that? You traded a first-round pick for this receiver, so no matter, he's got you hostage pretty much, because you don't want to say, you would never draft a guy in the first round and get rid of him in 2 years or a year and a half.
Nope.
So I'm a little concerned. I don't think the Eagles aren't going anywhere, but just what they've done.
They'll win a game in the playoffs.
Maybe. I'm not. If I pick them, maybe they'll lose.
That is true.
Yeah.
And by the way, I have to give you huge credit for the Eagles' turnaround, because the first time you were on this show, what was it, about a month ago?
But what's the ultimate goal at this thing? Is the ultimate goal just to get in the playoffs and say, hey, we won 9 games and we got in the playoffs? And
Well,
we got
I'd
us an
take the
extra
playoffs
bye?
right now, I got to tell you.
I mean,
Okay,
guess.
so what you said the first day you're on here, it was strong, it was bold, it was
still believe it.
courageous.
Still believe it.
I know, and what you said was correct.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it was very dangerous, because you relit a fire in that other locker room, because you had just left that locker room, so you were considered an insider.
Oh, God.
You were considered someone who was, to use your term, dry snitching.
But how you dry snitch on an opinion? I didn't say when I was in there, X, Y, and Z was doing X, Y, and Z, and this person was doing that.
No, but it was
person.
your takeaway from the feeling you got in the
was just
Eagles
giving you my
locker room
opinion.
versus the feeling you got in the Cowboys locker room.
I'm always going to give you my opinion.
No,
And
I got it. But again, when you're in the position you were recently in, which is a member of the Eagles, those quotes, they resonated, trust me, inside that locker room.
I say what I say, and I mean what I say.
I'm going to help you out a little bit.
I don't need no help.
Yeah, I need to help you out.
I don't need no help.
Because here's the thing. If you're going to do what, in this business, you're going to sit up here and do what Skip and I do. Skip wrote, covered the game for 40 years. I played.
Me too.
You play the game, you got to treat your feelings like visitors. They come and go. Right now, your feelings are still tied to the Cowboys, and you
Not even my feelings. It was the better or the worse. I mean, I'm not going to sit up here. I'm not going to sit up here and crown a team for winning 9 games.
I tried to tell you what was going to happen.
He spoke the truth.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he didn't speak the truth, but it seemed like he was coming from a place like he had just skipped. If I just get fired from a job, I'm going to be upset at my employer.
But I wasn't upset. I came from a place, I was coming off of the Cowboys had just throttled us, meaning the Eagles.
Yep.
And from the
Yeah,
state
you jumped
of,
outside and gave him a touchdown.
whoa. It's my turn.
Okay.
All right. The games I was at, I was 3 games. We blow out the Jets. Then we go to Minnesota, we get handled.
Just
And then we go to
annihilated.
Dallas and you get handled. And at that point, just looking and seeing and just speaking off my past experience, that's not a good sign.
And you said they were living in the past like it's still a Super Bowl type
I mean,
team.
I'm sure that the living in the past and the Super Bowl is actually something that helped them. It was something that they could lean against, and they put their backs against the wall and they said, we ain't got nowhere to go. And if you put a dog in the corner, eventually they gonna bite back. But that little dog gonna have his day one day.
Yeah. I tried to tell you this. Your dog ain't gonna have no day this year. It's over.
That's fine.
It's over.
The ultimate goal now at this point,
Yeah.
is only going to be one person that's going to get it.
But at the end of the day, you got to be in this fight in order to have a chance to win.
No, I absolutely agree. But let's just be realistic.
They're
Let's be
realistic.
realistic.
They got a good chance
Are you
to
realistic?
anybody.
Are you realistically
They
telling
got a good
me,
chance
do you want
to
to
anybody.
bet them
This
up?
says I got a good chance to anybody. But Skip, look, for me, it came down to this. And you said that your quarterback over the past 3 years had made throws, and when it came time to win the game, he made the throws, he made the plays to win the game. Well, this year that didn't happen. But in the last 4 games, they couldn't lose a game, or they're not going to be in the position that they're in. Every throw that they needed to make, every play that needed to be made, he made it.
He did.
And that's the difference. And sometimes it comes down to that. You talked about Nick Foles, Skip. You remember those playoff games, the division and Super Bowl. Every throw, every play that needed to be made.
I'm not talking about a late throw. I'm talking about start to finish throws. He made every throw.
But just think if he didn't have Alshon, and he didn't have those Torrey Smith, and he didn't have those other guys, and he was down his 2 back. Imagine he didn't have Jay Ajayi and the Winnebago LeGarrette Blount. So he's down to his 3rd back, and there's no Lane Johnson, and Brooks goes out.
I mean, but at the end of the day, nobody cares about that. How many times have you lined up and you asked this DB across from you or that linebacker, hey, what string are you? How many times?
That's my point. But your guy, hold on.
They all getting paid.
Hold on. You got 3 offensive linemen that's going to the Pro Bowl. You got Zeke going to the Pro Bowl. You got Amari. You got Michael Gallup. You got Tex Cobb. And you got Dak. And you 8-8?
It happens.
Ain't nothing gonna happen. It better not happen. It better not happen.
Do any of those guys play defense?
Look over there, down there, right down the street in L.A. They got who? Melvin Gordon going to the Pro Bowler, not going to the Pro Bowl. Keenan Allen. They got Mike Williams 1,000 yards. That don't mean nothing. At the end of the day, it comes down to who makes the plays, the winning plays when it's time to make winning plays.
Well, your guy didn't make the winning plays. So say that. Say that. That's what I want you to say. That's what I've been waiting you to say the whole while. You've been dancing around it.
Dallas didn't make winning plays when they needed to make winning plays. Philadelphia made winning plays. They made the plays, and you got to tip your cap. They came, but you know.
QB is the difference.
I mean, how many playoffs?
Say it with your chest. Say it with your chest.
How many playoff wins Carson Wentz got?
Say it with your chest.
How many playoff wins Carson Wentz got?
About to have one.
How many playoff wins? No. Let's not talk about.
He got the same number of division titles as Dak Prescott. With less talent.
How many playoff wins? I'm listening.
Because all you talked about, the last time Dak Prescott.
How many playoff wins? I'll wait.
Dak Prescott has yet to lose to Carson Wentz. You that here bumping
let me know when it's my turn. Let me know when it's my turn.
Skip turn now. Bump later.
Skip, we just got one question. Can you ask it for me? How many playoff wins does Carson Wentz have?
He about to have the same number as Dak. He got hurt. He got hurt. That'd have been his Super Bowl. That'd have been his Super Bowl.
He's not played in a single playoff.
He about to now.
This will be.
And by the way, just for the record, while you're gloating over there bumping your gums, beating your chest, you still owe me 38 cases of Diet Mountain Dew, and I've not seen one of them. And this man came and paid off.
Yeah, he got to pay.
Way to go. I'm going to shake your hand.
Unc don't pay his debts.
That took some guts.
You don't pay your debts, Unc?
I'm about to get it back.
38
It
cases.
was at 50 at one point in time.
How high would we have to stack the cases?
Can I get a bet back, though? You know how we do it.
We gotta make that happen.
I need a bet back.
No. You
don't give me no action.
You got to pay off your original bet.
You're not going to give me no action back?
Yep. Pay off your original debt.
But you ain't paid Skip.
Yeah, we got a running tab going. You don't get that courtesy.
So I give you this. The Eagles sucked it up with their backs to the proverbial wall, and they beat the 4-12 Giants twice, and they beat the 3-13 Redskins once, and they beat my woeful 8-8 Dallas Cowboys at home. That's how they finished the year. It was the easiest closing schedule in all of professional football, and they did it, and I give you credit for that. But don't rave to me about how Carson Wentz rose and shone. His QBR averaged in those 4 games 61. It's just a little above average, 0 to 100. Oh. His overall QBR for the year was 63, which ranked 11th in the NFL.
That's pretty good.
Greatest since I done seen since Peyton Manning.
Yeah, boy, it was something.
61?
And it took him all the way to overtime to beat the Giants at home. And he stunk up that game for 3.5 quarters. And I know you were sitting up there in your mansion in Bel Air saying, I am in trouble. Because this man, he is bounce it to him Wentz, and he was bouncing it all over the lot that night until the overtime.
What about your guy? What about your guy stacking up against Trubisky?
I don't want to live in the past. I want to go forward.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't talk right now because your team ain't going nowhere.
No, I want to know about your team.
Okay.
I'm just a fan.
So your guy goes to Washington. The Redskins are pathetic. They have 8 cornerbacks, 8 on IR, and 1 got suspended this year. And it took him all the way to the last throw of the game to win the game against the Redskins that my Cowboys obliterated yesterday. What are you raving about?
Skip, you know good and well the Eagles defense that came to play yesterday and played against the Cowboys. Come on. They have Haskins looking like he was Doug Williams. I mean, 2 plays, McLaurin gone for the tub. They showed up. Yesterday, when they got 17-17, I don't know what Jim Schwartz called the defense, but it looked like he said, get in the wide 9, Barnett, guys, Fletcher, go get the quarterback. And when they turned up that heat, Danny died.
Did he call up to the press box and ask Danny Pennies to drop the ball?
Yeah. Danny Pennies.
Danny Pennies.
That's Nate Pennies?
What center snapped it low, and by the time, he tried to get it up, they came with a blitz. That was a great call. And Jink got him. Jink.
No, it was Fletcher. He dropped it. Come on, man.
Jink stripped him
My
up.
9-year-old daughter could have picked it up.
Don't do that, dude.
And she never even played contact.
I mean, it's coming out.
That's fine.
You ain't get it out, you the hater.
That's fine. And that's not no hater, man. You want to be
Sharpe,
realistic.
Saquon Barkley, most overrated running back in football. Most overrated.
Pieced him out at the 50.
Yeah, he pieced him out for 68 yards. Then he had 16 other carries that went for a grand total of 24 yards because he can't run it between the tackles.
Skip, they geared up and said, Saquon, you're not going to beat us. They saw what he had done the previous 2 weeks. I'm not letting Saquon beat me. Danny Dimes, if you throw for 300 like you did the previous week in 5 tubs,
that was
so
against the Redskins.
Okay, well,
and you completely overreacted to that. And you're telling me, don't be surprised if the Giants upset the Eagles. I said, there's no way.
I tell you what I didn't overreact to when you got out to 3-0 and when the Eagles were 2 games behind you with 4 games to play. That's what I didn't do.
Yeah,
I didn't overreact to that. Did old Scandrick.
You lucked into it.
They don't look into
all right.
You don't look into these, Skip.
Yeah.
You got to pick these things on the. Bring me these little old bottles. What
That's going to get you through.
At least
You know, I
paid
should have
up.
brought you a vial of cortisone today because that's what my quarterback needed before the Eagles game. A big old shot of cortisone in his throwing shoulder.
He needed that against Washington.
Who cares
But he
about
threw for 4
Washington?
touchdowns.
About that guy.
Oh, you saw that, huh?
No mercy.
So Dak Prescott still doesn't have a new contract, despite having the best statistical season of his career. The Dallas quarterback had a career-high 30 touchdowns and ended up just 1 yard shy of the Cowboys' single-season record for passing yards. However, it was the worst season for Dak when it comes to wins and losses. It was the first time he didn't have a record above 500. Former Cowboys DB Orlando Scandrick is still with us. So, Orlando, when you think about this one, how will Dak's season impact his contract negotiations?
In a positive way, if anything. Pay the man. If you don't want to pay him and you haven't seen enough, let him go somewhere else. At this point, what are we doing? You want to turn this into a Kirk Cousins situation? You want to make the
potential
the blood worse, or do you want to say this is the direction my franchise is going in? Is my new head? I want my new head coach sold on them. I want them to be bonded. I want them to be together. I want them to have the type of relationship that we all imagine. When I say imagine, when I say the name, you're gonna know why I say imagine. We want them to have the type of relationship that Tom and Belichick have in our minds and have had for so many years. The kid is great, man. He's come in and he's exceeded all expectations. Even if you don't think he's worth the 35 or 40 million, then you go back and say, well, we're repaying him for what he's done the last 4 years.
Fair.
For me, look. It's hard for me to envision the situation, is that he didn't give them a pay cut at the beginning of the season. He navigates the minefield. He gets off the field. He's healthy. So basically, the only thing that could have derailed him, he has a catastrophic, he has an ACL, or Achilles, or major shoulder surgery. Okay, now Jerry's like, look, we don't kind of know what you're going to do. But he's like, hold on, wait a minute. Carson Wentz has won the division twice. He got paid. Jared Goff has won the division, I think, twice. He got paid. Now, I just want to know what the holdup is. You see, the difference is that those 2 guys identified their guy. We believe in you. We're going to pay you. Jerry Jones seems to be somewhat...
I'll tell you what the holdup is. They're probably telling him, playing in Dallas, quarterback, your marketability is more, no state taxes, but I don't want to hear none of that. Carson Wentz, number 2 pick in the draft. Jared Goff, number 1 pick in the draft. So I'm already 25 million behind the 8 ball.
30.
Okay, so sum up this year. How much blame does Dak deserve for 8-8?
He's a quarterback. I mean, he's going to shoulder all of the blame for, missing some throws, because he missed some throws, and he'll be the first one to tell you. He's not going to use injury as an excuse. But at the same time, he has deficiencies. He has flaws, as all of us humans do. And I can assure you, knowing him like I know him, he's going to work towards it. And I genuinely believe that he's the guy. And if you don't think he's the guy, this franchise, so we talk about it a little bit, franchise, so we talk, that's not good for anybody. I don't know a situation that's worked out.
Nope.
So I believe in the big picture, Jerry Jones blew this because I believe this deal should have gotten done not even during camp, before camp, last offseason. If you had beaten the curve before the curve started going higher.
Before Golf and Wentz started getting their money.
If you had headed this all off at the pass, if you'd given this kid his due and his money, because he had done it already. I was completely sold, and I believe Jerry was sold in the offseason, last offseason. But no, he's a hard-bitten, tough negotiator, a tough you-know-what, and so are Dak and his representatives.
Correct.
So it became an impasse, and I believe it hurt Dak's performance a little bit this year because he made lots of throws, but he didn't make enough the throw at the moment. And you can't tell me he wasn't pressing late in games.
Absolutely. Anything in life. It's just you coming in here, Jenny, you coming in here, you coming. If I'm coming in here and I'm thinking, I got security and I'm just going to come and do my job and do what I'm paid to do, opposed to I got to be perfect every day so I can prove to them that I deserve.
He wasn't free mentally when push came to shove on the football
I can
field.
tell you from personal experience, going into my 4th year and going through the camp and things like that, before I did sign my first big contract, it was like, I got to be perfect. I got to show them. I got to prove it every day. And then when you get it, it's just like, now I can be myself.
What they should have done is that you believed, and a lot of people believe, that Dak was better than Cousins. They should have gave him a deal comparable to Cousins.
No.
Even if you don't fully guarantee it, you give him a deal comparable. Look, you making $500,000 a year. Somebody come to you with $70 million, you're taking that.
You said Cousins. Cousins make 28.5.
Yes.
I'm not taking 28.5 when at the time I'm sitting there and I'm looking at Carson coming off of an ACL.
But here's the thing. But Carson didn't get his money. Carson didn't get the money till this year.
Right.
I'm saying once Goff got his, Wentz got his and Goff got his, the market is going here.
Sure.
So Dak wasn't going to give you no discount. If you making $500,000, somebody comes to you with $75 million.
I agree.
It's hard for you to walk away from that.
It absolutely is, but you got to look at the bigger picture. And Kirk Cousins was a prime example of looking at the bigger picture. And he was able, wait, it's my turn. He was able to take that $28.5 million a year because 2 years of franchise tag.
Yeah.
So make that into a 5-year fully guaranteed deal.
Here's the thing, though. What was Kirk Cousins that Dak isn't? Free. Getting paid.
But he went through 2 years of franchise. I don't think Dak is opposed to going through 2 years of $30 million a year. Why so?
Because
that's 2 for 60.
Because they're betting against you. Your team is betting against you that you're not what they think you are. Because if they believe in you, they give you the money. Who else has played under those franchise tags?
I can't even think of quarterback that played on them. It never works in my opinion.
Because here's the thing, Skip. Even if you give the guy a little money early, you can get out from under it. Ryan Tannehill got paid, but it was structured so they could get out from under it. Mm-hmm. You got to pay these guys early, because if you wait late, Skip, and he bet on himself.
Mm-hmm. He's way better than Ryan Tannehill.
But
come on.
No, but I'm
talking apples and oranges.
No,
now.
but I'm saying they gave them they didn't give him all the way market value, but they got to him early. Yep. Dak is not going to take less than market value.
Not at all, but I mean, if you saying that he should have took Tannehill, then you talking about they should have paid him before year 3.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying you go to him early. Skip, he's won the division for you 3 times. Damn, what else you need to say?
But this is the problem. It's this big roller coaster with Dallas, and it's Super Bowl or bust every year. So his first year, 13-3.
Yes.
Second year, 8-8. Third year, okay, now he looked
97.
97, sorry. He looked bad before they got Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
So now they get Amari Cooper, he looks good again. And now at this point, he's sitting there and now he's looking at Carson Wentz's $30 million or $32 million a year, and now that's the number. And I think like both of you said, I think they should have sucked it up, and if he was the guy, just pay him.
You got sometimes, Skip, you just got to bite the bullet because the market is not coming down. It's not like because you see Aaron Rodgers. They get Aaron Rodgers had 2 years left on his deal. You see Seattle. He had a year left on his deal, and they're going to him and signing him early. And you let this guy get to the end of the contract, and you want me to get
They keep making the excuse of, we want to have a contract that's able to put people around him. As him, it's not my job to structure a contract to put people around.
So his numbers this year are off the charts everywhere except 8-8.
Right.
And Jerry's going to use 8-8 against him because Jerry will negotiate.
Go ahead and tag me.
Hey. Okay, well, that's what it's coming to.
You know it's going to be bad. You know how
if you tag me, then you lose Amari.
Remember, the defense did not live up to what we thought it was going to be. And Zeke, to me, did not live up to what I expected him to be, to lead the league in rushing.
Don't worry.
It still comes back.
There's going to be some Ubers out front.
Some what?
Some Ubers.
Some Ubers.
You know what those Ubers is for?
It's not good.
Go ahead, one-way ride. One-way ride to
that's got to be not a good
There's going to be some Ubers out front today.
But that's the thing. You got to bite the bullet. They let these contracts. He let Wentz and Goff get, and Dak saw that. Yeah. Dak's like, in Dak's mind, Dak believed he's as good, if not better, than those two guys that got $115 million.
And you wanted it to be done before the year, and now I'm thinking about what if.
Ubers on
what
the way.
What if it had been taken care of, and how it would have impacted this team?
I think you would have seen him play at a more comfortable level and make some plays that won games.
No mercy.
Antonio Brown, along with a group of wide receivers, worked out for the Saints Friday morning. According to reports, AB blew away the Saints, and the team is now interested in signing the receiver. And yesterday, Jay Glazer also reported that the Saints, however, did ask Brown to not bring an entourage to the workout, and AB ignored those requests and still showed up with an entourage. Not surprised about that one. Shannon, what do you make of these reports?
AB failed another test, but therein lies the problem. Because the Saints asked him not to show up with an entourage. Not only did he show up with an entourage, it was also reported he showed up with a camera crew. So what they should have done is that we ask you not to do something and not work him out. You see? Even though they asked him not to do something, he did it, and he still was allowed to work out. Therein lies the problem with Antonio Brown. Every step along the way, when they've asked him to do something because he's so immensely talented, we're going to disregard what we ask you to do.
And what was reported about the workout? He lit it up.
Sure, yeah.
We know he can run routes. We know he can catch the ball.
Yep.
Saints, here's a little news flash. If there was clarity, you wouldn't have had an opportunity to work him out because he'd have been on somebody else's roster.
True.
The reason why he's not on the roster is that the NFL has made it abundantly clear. And maybe you didn't get the memo, or maybe you threw it up with the one that they sent you down there apologizing for that blown call in last year's championship game. If you sign Antonio Brown, he's going to the commissioner's exempt list. So now if you want his future services, 2020, have at it. But you're not going to have him for the playoffs. Skip, I mean, what? Okay, look, you're coming for a job interview. Shannon, we want you to do this. Okay. But I show up with what you asked me not to show up with. And if I go through the interview, like, well, y'all ain't serious. Y'all gonna let me do what I want to do because you told me not to. I do it, and I still got the interview. Yeah. So what's to stop me from doing whatever else I want to do?
Correct. So I would hope for the Saints' sake that what you just discussed would encourage Sean Payton to just say no to Antonio. Sean Payton had his look at me grandstand moment. He had his tweak the NFL, take that the NFL moment over all the the anti-NFL bias that he has grown over the years for getting suspended for a year and the blown call. So he got all that out of his system. And now the reality is, I don't think he can coach Antonio Brown because I think he's become uncoachable at this stage of his career. So the one thing I do know about Sean Payton, he is in charge in New Orleans. Completely in charge. Okay. And I don't think he takes anything from any player. I've never known him to.
I don't know some people that played for him and know Skip. He's kind of like Coach Belichick. He's really a no-nonsense type of a guy. Because he learned on the Parcells just like Coach Belichick did.
Parcells. He's a chip off the Parcells.
Bad matter of fact, no nonsense.
Right. And it's not like he's a player's coach who's going to let you do this and get away with that if you production tolerance. Nope.
Yeah, he will, Skip. Because guess what? Guess who was Guess who LT's head coach was?
Well, I know that. Yeah. Now you're doing Parcells.
Yes.
But I haven't seen Sean Payton do that.
No, but if said, I guess when you're so immensely talented, you'll be willing to overlook. Coach Belichick was telling the story with the top 100 about LT. He went and told Coach Parcells that LT had shown up late for the meeting. And Parcells says, why the hell you start the meeting anyway? So basically it's saying there are certain things you excuse. But Skip, AB, how hard can it be? They said, AB, no entourage. Bro, if you're serious about getting back into the league, if you're serious about that, you can't just do this one thing. We know you're immensely talented. You're an all-time great. You can catch, you can run routes, you're spectacular after the catch, but they say no entourage. You show up with an entourage and a camera crew.
Right. So how do you think he would fit, seriously, realistically, with Michael Thomas? They won't fit. It's too much of a great thing because they're both great in their own ways, but one guy wants all the attention and a lot of footballs, and the other guy has earned his footballs, and it would not work. I think it was a bad idea from the start.
But this goes to show you, Skip, what teams are willing to do in order to win. Because Sean Payton believes that this gives him an extra advantage as far as winning. So I'll be willing to sell my soul to the devil.
I guess so. But again, Antonio is so far away from being cleared to play again.
Yeah.
It's not even.
Come on. And it felt like, you actually think we're going to let you sign that? You actually think that Sharpe Payton? Well, you do realize we can make these rules up as we go along.
Yeah. When you go to a job interview, don't take your rules from AB. Showing up with people, it's a lot. It's a lot.
No mercy.
The Browns' disappointing season came to a quiet end yesterday, losing to the Bengals 33-23. And following the loss, the Browns fired Freddie Kitchens after his first full season as head coach. So, Shannon, how responsible is Kitchens for the Browns' 6-10 record?
Man, how they do Freddie K like that? Man, you know they're supposed to give Freddie K more than 1 year, Skip. Look, obviously he's the head coach, so he's going to bear the lion's share of the responsibility. But we know where this falls on, Skip. Their quarterback, and some people some quarterbacks slide back. He took a huge step, a giant leap, as far as regression. And therein lies the problem, Skip. Baker Mayfield. Skip, you see the video of him getting into it with a fan?
I didn't like
the
that.
The fan is somebody, we're a 1-14 team is about to beat you. And he's talking about coming and say it to my face.
What else is new? When is it not?
I know, but it was like the
You got to let it
timing.
go, Skip. You got to let that go.
Okay, I still don't blame Freddie Kitchens as much as I blame John Dorsey for elevating him because he was like a clown act. He wasn't remotely qualified for this job. It was doomed to fail from the start. He'd never been a head coach. He was only a coordinator for the first time the back half of last season.
What about his quarterback recommended it?
Okay, all right. Well, because he thought he was his big brother, right? And yet, John Dorsey, Pro Football Talk, reported he's not safe either, and I don't think he should be because this was a ridiculous move to start with.
But therein lies the problem. Because what if Cleveland has since Mr. Haslam owned the team, 11 head coaches? So Skip, you can't have this kind of turnover and hope for stability. He doesn't. You coach the team. Stop trying to be Jerry. Everybody wants to be Jerry Jones, Skip. You're Cleveland. You better get somebody in there and let them have more than a year. Because if Mr. Kraft had done this, Coach Belichick would have been gone.
Yeah.
You won't let anybody have any stability, Skip. You got to have stability to build something.
This job, though.
I don't know. I'm not giving up on Baker Mayfield. He
No.
can still play, and he showed you the first year he can play. This was a mess from the start.
Yeah, he made it a mess.
I don't
was a
know.
tough
It wasn't a
year.
mess in the beginning. He made
That
it a
is
mess.
it for us. We'll be back tomorrow
Jenny, that's
morning at
your guy, too.
9:30 Eastern.
No mercy.
Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Jenny Taft. Join us again at the same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports. One of one.